Greetings, greetings, greetings. TGIF, everyone. How are you? What's going on? What's happening? We have arrived to the end of the week, and I hope you had a great one. I hope you pulled out that coat and just gave up that little spring jacket you've been wearing all this time. Oh, yeah, because I've heard people today that lived in Florida saying it was cold and they didn't know what to do with themselves. They said it was cold and was at Jacksonville, Florida, and a couple of more places. So yeah, you had to give it up, get that jacket out. Just give it up. It's all right. What else has been happening? I it, I don't know, and this is no disrespect or anything. I'm really trying to figure this out because I some things I just notice. I just do. I can't help myself. I just do. And I've noticed that when I'm on the elevator, I find that the dominant society will look at me and they'll give me a little smile and they'll get in and then they'll may look at me one more time. I don't know what that is. Maybe that's a nervous twitch. I don't know. But I really want to question is when you all get on together and sometimes people look at you like, are you going to hit the button? You hitting the button, right? And it's so confusing. I mean, I don't get that, especially if you were the one that's decided to stand closer to the front to hit the button and you were on first. I would think that would be your job to push the button. But I don't know. For some reason, every time I'm getting on the elevator, I'm looked at as, are you going to push the button? I don't get that. Just strange. Just want to throw that out there, wondering if that happens to anyone else. But anyway, it was interesting today when I was went downtown and I wanted to play around a little bit. So I said, let me head on downtown, enjoy myself because it's dry. Because it may be a little cooler, but hey, when it's dry, that means you need to get out, walk around a little bit. So that's what I did, and I noticed, there's a lot of people out. I mean, a lot of people out. So I don't know if there's something going on in Chicago. Um, I don't know if some event coming. I don't know, but there's a lot of people. It almost make you wonder where you all been for the past few months. It's like you've been hiding, and then just a big burst of people just walking around, just chilling, shopping. I'm like, okay, maybe they getting ready for the holiday. I don't know. That could be. But it do make you wonder though. It has been very quiet for a while. The kids went back to school and it still wasn't, kind of busy out there. But now it's like it's getting cooler and more people are out. It's kind of strange, but that's what I'm noticing. And I went to the water tower. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. That's a popular place that people go to when they go downtown. If you're from another city and you come in and visit downtown, people would always go to the water tower because you go there, you got about 8 floors of different places to shop, but it's looking sad now. It's not that many places up in there that's open. And I've taken a couple of pictures. I'll share them later. But yeah, it's especially since Macy's, the mayor of the city tried to get Macy's to stay, And Macy's said, no, we're leaving. You charge too much for us to occupy the water tower, and we're just not going to pay it anymore. And she did everything she could. Tax breaks, probably was going to go and shine the shoes. I don't know how far she was willing to go. But they said, no, we're not staying. And when you get a lease here in Chicago, um, it's not for your you normally not you're not going to live past the lease you signed in Chicago. And if you have an idea what I'm talking about, when we had Mayor Richard Daley, the son, he signed away the Chicago parking meters, a lease for 75 years. I'm like, wait a minute. He's 50 years old. He's not even going to live long enough to even see this. The people that got the contract is not even going to live long enough to see the contract end. Why would you lease something for 75 years beyond your lifetime? But I don't know. We're weird when it comes to like stuff like that. We just try to get all your money and worry about the consequences later. All right, guys. So without further ado, you all know what to do. Raise your hands in the air and wave them like you just don't care. Why? Because it's Classic Ruby, everybody. Classic Ruby.
Why, good evening in TGIF, Shar. Good evening, lovely ladies and gents. I have a tip for y'all. That's right, I have a tip. And
Wonderful.
right now, I have this tip. Now, here's the thing. So I used to believe everything that these big institutions told me. I'm going to be real because I just trusted them, right? Like I'm new to really banking on my own, 18, 19 years old. They tell me, hey, for just a low cost of $4.99 a month, you can have insurance. And I bought into that insurance. Yes, my friends, I did. I paid that insurance for 6 years. And guess what happened when I needed that insurance?
Uh-oh.
I didn't qualify. Oh, yes, that's right. So I have gotten a little bit careful when it comes to their offers, right? So my bank calls me and they go, hey, listen, we got this insurance. We want to know if you wanted to buy into, Ruby. So I said, oh, yeah, probably not because that's normally a scam and a hustle. And then you're going to charge me $5 a month. And then when I need the insurance, they're going to tell me I don't qualify for some reason. No, it's very easy to qualify. Okay. So what qualifies? Oh well, all you need to have done is had an accident and it's not your fault. No, that's not what I asked you, lady. I'm asking you, for example, do I have to be employed at the time? Do I have to have lost money from my employment because I'm so badly injured? Um, do I have to have a particular kind of injury? For example, do I have to have had surgery or do I need treatment? What exactly, how do I qualify? Now, and I kept
Mhm.
pushing, right? And I got to the end and I said, listen, right? When I said, now I need to understand when you say injury, oh, as long as you got injured and it's not your fault, does it have to be traumatic injury? Like, for example, do I have to have my gut spilling open, my bones severely broken? I need a surgery. You know what this woman did?
What?
She hung up the phone on me, Shar. She hung up the phone on me.
That's
So
cold. Cold
I'm
blood.
gonna I'm gonna guess the answer to all those questions is yes, I had to be all of those things. So
Mhm.
not only did I have to have a car accident, and it's not my fault. But then you have to make sure that while it's not your fault, that you were badly injured enough that you didn't work, but it has to be so badly injured that you also require some kind of surgery, medical intervention, because otherwise you won't qualify. And so you will pay $5.99 a month for who knows, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And then when you come for the insurance, it's going to be like, oh, I'm sorry, you're not currently employed. So even though you meet all of the other things, you don't qualify for this insurance you paid $5 a month for. That has nothing to do with your job, right? Yeah. So y'all be very, very wary because right now the banks, all of these institutions are trying to make up their money. They understand no one's doing anything banking wise, whatever, they're losing money. So now
Hmm.
they're just coming with all of their little fake things, their little fake giveaways. Oh, great insurance. They never plan on ever paying out, ever. So just keep your eyes open and yeah, just question them until they run away. It's fun. Trust me. I learned it from Shar. It is actually really fun. You just keep asking them questions. They get all kerfuffled.
Yeah, I don't know. People be running from those questions. They don't want to give any answers. Not
Right?
quite sure why.
It's amazing. Shar, I'm telling you, if it wasn't for you telling me that I should ask those air duct cleaning people questions, to be fair, you can't ruffle them people. They don't care. They're just a whole hustle. But I'm using that tactic elsewhere, and they run, and they hung doctors' offices. Shar, these people will hang up the phone on you for almost anything. You're like, gotcha. That's the answer. Yep, love it.
All right. Well, today I'm going to do something a little different. Just pull up a couple of screens and see what's going around on YouTube and look at the title and see what comes to mind. Yeah, that's what we're going to
Okay,
do.
that'll be interesting.
Yeah. So we're going to start off with a little dance, warm the blood up for a little bit, our happy Friday dance, if you will. So
Of course.
let's see what we got here. Um, Now let's see what Carlton got going on. Yeah, let's do him today.
All
Here
right.
goes.
Look at her. We gon' start this thing around. You ball in the middle of the night. Come on, come on. You a baby, you a baby. You a baby, you a baby. You a baby, you a baby. I'm living my best life. I'm living my best life. I'm living my best life. Ain't no making off between you. I'm living my best life. Ain't no making off between you.
All right.
It's that chipmunk laugh, man. That chipmunk laugh at the beginning.
Yeah, she's happy.
Mhm.
Mm-mm. All right, let's see what we got here. I'm gonna have to close out the screen as I go because I have no idea what I really got up.
Uh-oh.
See if I can find it. Yeah, I got about 6 tabs open,
Oh,
and because they kind of repeat themselves, I'm like, well, let me just see if I can just get something different.
right.
So I may
Mm-hmm.
have to ask other people, hey, what you got on your screen? Show me,
Yeah.
show me. Okay, okay, let's see. Where is this? That is this one. Oh, and I found this interesting. They're showing what, we see out in the world. So they advertising it like, okay, so we got what do they call? They call them studs. I think that's what I heard them. But they have this type of couple and they advertise. I'm like, okay, keeping it real, as they say. All right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I gotta say, I see the Squid Game like costume. Like, I can't even read what that one's about, but I see the Squid Game costume, and Squid Game is like, y'all, if y'all didn't see the Squid Game or you like gave up really early, you need to watch it. It's a really crazy. I watched it before I knew there was going to be hype about it, right? Because if I had found out there was hype about it, I wouldn't have watched it, like just because I refuse to like be, on trend. But it's
Yeah.
a really good show. It's like a weird. I like this kind of show. It's a really good show. Check it out.
Yeah, I have it on my to watch list. And it's gonna take me a while to get to it, but because it seemed interesting, I am going to watch it eventually. One day. I don't
Mhm.
know when, but I will.
It is. It's an interesting concept. It's funny because you could watch this show on a lot of different levels. So, like,
Hmm.
the makers made it. because they wanted to comment basically on capitalism and this capitalistic society, and what the one percenters, what it's like to be a one percenter, where they're at, and where the society is as far as the bottom 10%. Like it's a lot of commentary on that, so you could watch it and appreciate it on that level if you like the poli sci kind of stuff. But then there's just like the what if you like psychological thrillers, if you like competitions,
Hmm.
if you like dramas, if you like picking an underdog and voting for them, if you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
there's so
Hmm.
many different ways you can relate to the show. I'm just saying it's a good show. It was surprisingly, shockingly good, like to the point where I wish that I could watch it again brand new, like, and not have seen it yet. Yeah, I can't wait for season 2.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The five roast old Democrats for abandoning spending bill vote. Yeah, old is definitely describing this because I'm really trying to figure out why a bunch of 70 and 80-year-olds are just sitting there just collecting money and not making any decisions, just saying, "Oh, we got to think about it. Oh, well, no, I'm not going to sign that. Oh, no, they're wrong." Oh, and I'm like, do they really speak for people that are
Mm-hmm.
younger? Their grandchildren, their great grandchildren. Do they know what's happening? And I'm just wondering. I'm like, because a lot of stuff just don't be logical what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't get it. Can we get some flesh, some fresh blood in there, please, in office? It'd be nice. Just be nice.
Mm-hmm.
Not a
That's not what
whole
politics
big
is about.
Ben gay society. It'd be nice to have a little fresh blood. Just saying.
But that's who's got the money, Sean. That's what politics is all about, money. So,
I don't like it.
unless that's what it's about. Listen,
I don't like it.
people don't like when I say this, right? But sometimes we gotta pay attention to what other people are doing and then do what they're doing. So,
Mm.
for example, the queer community or LGBTQ community, it's very long. So I'm just gonna say queer community because technically I qualify as being part of them, so I can because I'm queer spawn. Now, with that, I swear to God, that's a real term, queer spawn.
Okay.
It's the children of people who are LGBTQ. Anyway,
Hmm.
so the queer community, you know how they got power? They're not rich. Independently, right? Queer people are not rich. But what happened is they said, well, if we band all of our money together,
Yeah,
then we are a power. So they are
that's true.
acting, right? They're acting as one individual. So as one individual, they're, 10 million voices and 10 million wallets together is very powerful, right? We need to do the same. $6 billion. If we have $6 billion to spend on weed, right? I'm just saying, if we can band that $6 billion together, right? Then we have some spending power, right? Then we could say, you know what I want to see? I want to see some young black blood up in there, and then we get some because we have $6 billion minimum of spending power. That's
Hmm.
what it is. Money, 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 money. That's all it is, right? Old
Smart
people want
though.
to see themselves, and old people are the ones with money, and that's why there's all these old people. That's it.
I think it's smart.
Mm-hmm.
It
That's right.
definitely works.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna
Right.
tell you that much. It definitely works.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Sure you have a very like vanilla feed right now. Like, this is like I don't know.
Yeah, this is I signed out just to see what would happen.
Uh.
Yeah. That why I got about six, I think it's 6 tabs.
Oh yeah. No. This is
Difference between Tyrese. Now this I don't care too much about celebrities and stuff, so I wouldn't even know. So when I see a title like this, I just like, yeah, whatever.
I mostly just guess it's like, well, his wife, the other wife, she was black, and now she's the new one's an exotical because that's like the the general thing that everyone mentioned. So it just
Yeah.
seems like that's probably what it's about. Plus, this woman looks very exotical. So, I mean, but I'm going to be fair. I don't know exactly what exotical means because depending on who you ask, it means something different. But she's exotical as far as what I think the definition is. So,
Here's your guy. Can we talk?
poor thing. Listen, y'all. Okay.
Poor thing.
I know. Right? Like you don't want to be if you're gonna be a one-hit wonder, right? Like you want to be the kind of one-hit wonder where people kind of like forget you and forget that one song eventually. Like, no one's ever gonna forget that song, right? My name's Tevin Campbell. Tevin Campbell? You sing Can We Talk? Yo, sing me a couple of bars. I'm sure he probably hates that song by now. It's like when Cisco in the Thong song, right? You know how Cisco prevented becoming a one-hit wonder? He went onto a stage and said, "This is the last time I am ever performing the song, ever." So y'all can play the reading. I'm never performing it again. And he stayed true to his word. He never performed the thong song again. That is how much he hated that song. And the fact that everywhere he went, Cisco, oh, you're the thong song guy. Like, who cares about anything he did in Drew Hill for 10 years, right? Like, no, he's a thong song guy. Incomplete. Nobody cares. Thong song. So he was like, no, I ain't doing it again. I'm never singing the song again. So y'all better get on board with my new stuff or just throw me into the trash. Like that's where he was at. That's what Tevin should have did, but it's too late now. You know what I mean? You
Right.
just can't we
It's
talk. Like that's it.
it's in your head. It's
Yeah.
just there and it's not going away.
It's such a good song though. Like, how did you come up
It
with
is
such a good
though.
song and you can't come up with a second one? Can we talk? Like my shoulders going and everything. Like you feel it, right?
Mhm.
Ah, so good. And then he's like, just never again. Just never again. But damn.
Mm-mm. Poor
Sad, so sad.
thing.
hmm I know. I know. Oh, y'all, see, look. So right there, okay, you might have heard Shar mention it last week, I think it was, when she was talking about the Illuminati. That's the
Yeah.
chick right up there with the cruelty-free thing. She,
Yeah, I like her.
yeah. So she's got two different. Actually, I think she has three channels, but she's got two different channels. She's got this channel and the channel that we're looking at now. She actually does like in-depth research, like every single thing that comes out of her mouth for the whole hour or whatever is heavily researched. She gives you all of the links inside of the description, right? And she kind of does like a documentary on everything she talks about, and she exposes conspiracy. She exposes like multi-level marketing schemes and stuff like that, just corruption in general. And she does like stuff like that. And then she has another one too. And her other channel, it's more like a live stream kind of thing. So you can kind of just see her automatic reaction as she's responding to things. I'm like,
Mm.
I watched that, I'm like, oh my god, she cursed. You can curse? I just didn't think she was the type of person who curses, right?
But
Because this
but
was
I get it though. She separates her platform
right.
for what it is, and I'm gonna have to find what those are and subscribe to her. But yeah, she has a lot of good information. That's my kind of thing. I like learning stuff, things that make me think. I like that a lot of times.
Right. Okay. Just so you know, so it's the exact same beginning, but instead of TII at the end, it's TEA at the end. Illuminati. It's like
Oh, okay,
Tifa. Uh-huh.
okay.
Clever,
Uh,
right? hmm
I don't know what's going on here. Some new scandal with Umar. I have no idea. Um,
Oh, he's still there?
yeah, the HVAC supposed to be coming, but it's not coming because of something. Some he out of town or it's always something. I look at the titles, I laugh, sometimes I click in, but it's always something.
I don't.
I don't know what Big J is doing over there.
I don't. I gotta tell you, like, I,
Uh-oh.
I just don't care about Umar. Like, everyone's talking about Umar like somehow being like a psychologist is like I don't know, like it's just he's not what everyone is trying to make him be, you know? And I don't understand these internet gods that people have created. Like they just take like relatively average, nobody people. They're not even, full of integrity or character, and then make them into these gods. And then they constantly fall off those pedestals constantly because they're not actually gods, right?
Right.
Um, and then you just want to keep them there and then not let anyone else who might be a little bit more appropriate step into the role. You just ignore all the more appropriate people because Umar is cake. Like I don't know. I don't get it. I just don't get the whole Umar thing.
Yeah, I don't either. Um, this is strange and interesting all at the same time. So I guess she does makeup and talk about crime. Oh,
Okay.
okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Joe, did Joe Button come out as a star-spangled booty bandit? She
Well,
has some
okay.
very interesting titles, and I can hear her voice too.
The Star Spangled. Unfortunately, I can always hear her voice, and it's not a good feeling for me. So well, he came out as bisexual apparently, right? And then some ex-girlfriend of his, came out and said he's not bisexual, but he's definitely something else. I can't remember the something else now, but
Mm,
like maybe abusive. I think she said, yeah, he's definitely abusive, but definitely not bisexual because you would know that. Like you wouldn't know. I don't know why women do that all the time. Like after they've dated
mm,
someone, they say, "Oh, he's definitely gay, or he's definitely straight, or he's definitely not this, or he's not." How would you know? Like
right.
you only know what he did in your bed and what he told you, and that's it. So, I mean, I'm gonna say if a black man, not just any man, but a black man, went publicly and said, "I'm bisexual," publicly.
Mm-hmm.
If he said that,
Yeah.
I don't know if he said it because I didn't hear it, but I'm saying if he said it, I believe him because no black man is admitting to being anything other than straight and lying about it. None. Mm-mm.
Right. And if he is lying about it, it has to be a very desperate plea for help when it comes down to money. I mean, you have to be right at the bottom because, it's black men, they really have an issue with that. So
Mm-hmm.
they go extra, the step beyond to prove how masculine they are. So
Right.
I'm thinking if he said this to, the world, it's like, hey, I'm just going to put it out there and let's hang together because I know y'all got some money. I'll band y'all money together. Let's make beautiful music together. That or
I mean,
I
that's
don't know.
smart, right? That's smart, but here's why it's not smart because he's black. See, that's what I said. If he was any other race and he said bisexual, they'd go, okay, he's bisexual, right? But black people don't do that. Women can be bisexual, right? But black people, if you say you bisexual as a man, you're gay, right? Like there is no bisexual to black people. We refuse to accept a premise where black men can be bisexual. You are either gay or straight, right? Um, and so he would be alienating a lot of the population because it doesn't matter, and they would like it, we don't care. We are not going to take your bisexuality as bisexuality, and I am not talking about me as an individual. I'm talking about the greater community.
That's
Um,
what I'm thinking too. I
mhm.
see where you're going with that because those that are and not saying anything, they're not going to hang out with them. So yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Right. You know what
yeah.
I mean? And then the not for anything, but the queer community is not swift on picking up rappers who have a history of saying anything homophobic. Like they're not forgiving you. So I
Hmm.
just don't feel like it could possibly be like I don't see where the money grab would come from because I'm not really sure that either side of this divide is gonna be like, oh yay, and then he's gonna get more popular as a result. Like I feel like he's not. I feel like it's gonna go the opposite way for him at this point.
Well. I'm thinking it's about money. Now, I don't know a whole lot that he's done. I know that there was a big something happened, and I haven't heard much about him. I don't never see his name or anything in the feed and stuff like that. So I'm guessing, just
Oh,
guessing that maybe this is like, hey, I'm desperate and I need some money, so I'm just gonna say I
oh,
need.
sure. Look what Neek said. So Neek said they have taken it out of context. He was speaking against the queer community, always canceling people that says anything they don't like. So he said he's bisexual, like saying, I'm part of your community, so you can't attack me. Joe Budden is a master troll. That makes more sense actually. I can see him doing that. Like I don't know.
Okay, yeah, that's why I said I didn't know, but if he did, then I was coming up with some scenarios. But okay, thank you.
That makes more sense. Honestly, like even if he really was bisexual or even gay, I just can't see him actually being honest about it. Like he's not that kind of guy who has vulnerable moments and let me share with the class and tell you why I'm soft. Like he's just not that guy. That's why I'm like he couldn't be trying to score points after everything he's ever said and done. Like I'm confused. This is the thing that makes sense. Oh, because he is a troll. He would do that. Okay, well then I'm
Really?
bisexual. Now I can talk about my community. Just like I said, listen, I'm queer spawn, so I can call the queer community. Because that's what we call it when we part of it. Right. But y'all aren't allowed to say that, right? But I'm allowed to say it because I'm part of it. So he just basically did the same thing, only trolling. Because like he's not at all. But prove it.
Mm.
Prove he's not really bisexual. Can you? No, right? You ain't ever been in a bed with him. You're not his bed. You can't testify to what happens in it. So like,
You're not a bed sheet.
right? You know what I mean?
You have
Like,
no DNA.
thank you. Right. So yeah, no, I can see him doing that. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. I still hadn't seen the clip, so I was just like, I don't. It just doesn't sound real to me. It couldn't click for me. Like, oh, he came out and admitted he was bisexual. Like, did he
Mm.
though?
Okay.
That's I don't know. We got some very obviously gay people who are refusing currently to come out, right? So
Okay, that's probably why they had him next to him. Okay, I
yeah,
get it.
denying glitches and all that, right? So
I get I get it now.
there you go, letting their Freudian slips speak for them. So, in this day and age where we don't understand context or sarcasm or context or anything, it's yeah, I could see how this could be blown way out of proportion. Yeah.
Addressing the least desirables and the spiritual centerfolds. Hmm. Well, I would think that they would have to listen to be addressed. That's my opinion about it.
What? I don't I don't know.
Addressing the least desirables and the spiritual centerfolds.
What is
So I'm
a
thinking,
spiritual centerfold? What's that mean?
I guess a holy um centerfold girl.
There's no such thing. Like I'm sorry, like what?
It might be if you put
Spiritual
on a
centerfold.
you put on a hijab.
Well, if you put on the hijab and then take off the whole rest of your clothes and let them take pictures of you and put it in a magazine, you have literally proven you are not spiritual. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I can't be
Nope,
like, I'm a good Christian wife. And that's
nope,
why I'm
nope,
in
nope, nope.
Playboy.
Because you covered
What?
your head. There you go, girl. I don't know.
You gotta cover the rest of you too. You can't just cover your hair and that's it. They're all about modesty. Like you show too much shoulder blade, you're acting like a hoe, right? So like you can't show it all, like spreading everything, and be like, I'm being spiritual while I do it though. So you could pray to my vajayjay. Although there was that pastor, Shar. You remember that pastor? She said her vagina was anointed,
Yes.
and all your cheating husband has to do is sleep with her and he'll
Hmm.
never cheat on you again.
Yep, that's what she said.
So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe there is.
Mhm. Maybe it's a lot of happy wives out there. I don't know.
Maybe she's the centerfold. You should take a closer look. She's like, oh, hey, just put some oil on it and blessed it for the picture first, right? So you just have your husband jerk off to this. It should work out okay. He'll stop
Okay.
cheating temporarily, but he's got to sleep with the real thing for it to be permanent. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Oops, I lost a page. Slip of a finger. I
Nice.
lost a page.
Nice. Very
Sorry.
proud of you. Good job.
Thank you. Let's see if any of the old came up. If not, I'll pull up another one. Sorry. Uh-oh, bird speak. That is so silly. That's putting a mic up to animals. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I'm not even surprised at this point. I'm honestly not. No.
Yeah, I lost everything. Okay. Let me end this one
Well,
and
since I
find
saw
this
Dave
one.
Chappelle pop up while you're pulling up the next one, I'll say this. So I went and I watched the special because I haven't really commented on this anywhere because I'm like I haven't seen it. So until I've seen the comments myself and I've seen it in context and I've watched the whole show, I'm not saying anything one way or the other. I'm not going to say he was pro, evil, mean. I'm not going to say anything. I watched it. I am very okay. No, I'm not. I was gonna say I'm very confused as to all the backlash, but I'm not. And the reason why I'm not is because of how he started the show. If you take away the first 7 minutes of the show, because he
Uh-huh.
started off, he came so hard and harsh and like real like aggressive at the very beginning of the show. But if you take away that one part, that almost feels like it was just a little too, I'm gonna say confronty and aggressive, just a little bit. And then you just listen to the whole show because he told deep like real stories and stuff about an aspiring comedian that was trans that he absolutely loved and stuff and that would have loved this joke and that joke. And it was like it was a whole thing. There was a whole thing to it. It's not like he just sat there and went on a whole rant for like an hour trying to tear down the LGBTQ community, trying to tear down trans people. He really did it. He said a couple things at the beginning. I feel like if he had just taken that out, we wouldn't even be having this discussion. But even with those things in, y'all listen.
Yeah.
It's comedy, right? Now, I feel like there's a line though, because I was trying to think about it and I said, listen, I don't have an issue. But if I heard a white person, right, tell the
Okay.
same type of joke about black people, right, in a context that I see this joke being, I would be offended. And I would say that as a white person, you can't say that. A black person can say that about black people, but you can't. There's only so far you can go. Comedy is all about you talking about like your experience, right? Like, so you can talk about your experience in the joke of that, but you can't necessarily pull too far out of that or you do start crossing the line, right? And like even then, like if a white person made some joke about being scared of a black man who popped out of a corner or something,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I get you, right? But then if he started going on and on and on about how the black person looked, like he came from a cave in Zimbabwe and probably only speaks in clicks and he kept going on, then you'd be like, yo, what the hell? Right? Just because he has
Right.
dread, right? So I do feel like you can sometimes push a little bit beyond the boundary that you should have gone. But I still think it's clear that it wasn't a hate piece. Do you know what I mean? It still wasn't a hate
Okay.
piece. It was actually a really good. It was actually a really. I don't really like comedy shows in general because I don't like when people just scream at me for 2 hours. But I thought it was really good. I actually really enjoyed it.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So I brought another page up. Let's see what we got here. Um, I think we seen some of that.
Yeah,
Scroll
because we
down.
saw the Illuminati and Umar
Do
and
men
corporate
really like
jets.
do men really like women who like them?
No,
Sometimes,
mm-mm.
sometimes,
Almost never.
but
No.
sometimes. I agree the majority don't, but sometimes. Now
Oh,
what?
I feel like the majority, it's a problem, right? Because you and me, Shar, we've been saying the same thing for years, right? Like who likes you.
Right.
I don't feel like this is a hard argument to have. Like who likes you. But both sides have a problem with that argument, right? They do for some reason. Because it's almost like, because to me, right, telling me to like who likes me isn't a problem. And I think it's because I'm okay with my generalized level within society, I guess you could say, right? So the people who I'm going to attract in and who like me, I like liking that kind of person. We're good. I like this. I feel like this says good things about me. I have a feeling that a lot of people who are in these spaces having these discussions are not happy with where they are as individuals, right? Maybe they're overweight, maybe they're lazy, maybe they're unmotivated, maybe all these things. And so the pool of people who are going to like them, they look at that and they go, oh, I don't like those people, right? But like, that's really just a mirror reflection of yourself. So if you don't like the people who like you at this point, right, then you don't really like you and where you're at right now. So you got to do some stuff to fix you so you can kind of adjust the pool that you're in and the people who like you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why I say no, the majority don't like the people who like them, because the majority are on it. Let's be real.
Mm-hmm.
They're they're lazy, they're out of shape, they're unmotivated, they're unhappy, right? And so that's what they're drawing in. And then they're like, no, I deserve better than this. I don't want to like who likes me. I want better people to like who like me, but I don't want to have to do anything about me. So that way they like me, right? No. Yeah. That's what I think is happening. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I guess as an adult, yes. And I'm thinking about if you're younger, no, not necessarily. But yeah, I see where you're going. And it really
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean anything. I mean, once you answer the question, then what do you do from there?
Girl, I got so much you can do from it. Listen, if you like who
No,
likes you,
yes, now what?
yeah, if you say yes, I like who likes me. I like that concept. I know I'm a seven. I'm willing to fish in the sevens pool because I'm accepting of my seven. And I think seven's great because I'm a seven. So I'm great. And so anyone who's like me is great. And I like that. We're great. Very logical. If you don't like your pool and you're also not willing to do anything to change, because the first thing would be, okay, well, then you got to work on your stuff. So that way your pool changes, right? If you're not willing to do that, then I'm going to refer you to therapy. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Just go straight to therapy. So that way you can work through why it is that you think you can sit on your butt and be overweight, out of shape, unmotivated, terrible attitude, full of trauma, full of attitude, full of character defects, but you deserve something way above you. You gotta, that's a lot of therapy you're gonna have to do. That, see, there you go. Solutions.
All right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Gotcha.
Petty time. That's simple.
Yeah. I don't feel like it's petty. I just feel like it's reality.
I
You know,
agree.
right? Like, so hey, listen, I had the opportunity in my life. I'm just, this is just honest. Okay. I had the opportunity in my life to be a 9 and 10. I could have been one of them chicks, and I could have been dating 9 to 10 men. You know, these multimillionaires and whatever. I know because I had some chase me down, and I dated them for short periods. But I didn't want to be that chick. I didn't. I'm not interested in being in high heels and pencil skirts and my makeup done to the T and hair done to the T and all of that. I was not interested in being that chick. I wasn't not interested in. I don't like that. I don't like that lifestyle. I don't like the way that I have to like look
A
and
lot of
be.
work.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. And for me, not a lot of payoff because the thing that's important to me is what we do when we're at home, right? Like I'm a homebody. I want to chill with my man and make little plans with my man and do cute little stupid stuff. Like I'm going to make facial masks and he'll put one on too. I like stuff like that, right? So, you have to look at your pool and not just like, the looks as far as what someone's looks or their wallet is, but like what kind of life do you actually really want to live? And then
Right.
people say stupid shit. I want to travel. Have you ever traveled in your life? Oh, but you have like 2.5 kids, but you want to travel. You're not traveling anywhere. Stop it. Like that's how you like that's not what you want to do. You just hear people say that. Issa Rae
And
said it,
repeat it.
right?
Right. Cause
Like
think about it.
stop.
You got them 2 kids, shoot, you're gonna afford, maybe the Greyhound, and about time the kids get all antsy and, "I'm
Mhm.
tired. I gotta go to washroom. Oh, when we gonna get there? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?" That's the end of your traveling.
Trust. Girl, the only reason I went on so many trips with my mom when I was younger, I'm convinced because she could only afford a few like plane flights in my life, but we went on road trips all the time. But the reason why is because I was that rare kid. If you gave me a book and let me lie in the back seat, I don't care. I would never stop you. I wouldn't ask you for there. I wouldn't ask you for food. I wouldn't ask you for water. I wouldn't ask you to stop to pee. Like you would have to make me get out of the car. I'm reading because I loved reading. And I could just disappear into a book for 15 hours. I was good. You give me a couple like corned beef sandwiches and like a couple bottles of water, I could ride out 24 hours to Florida. No problem. Maybe one, two. Every time you stop for gas, I'll pee then. I was really good at everything that makes you ideal for a car trip, right?
Oh, okay.
I was really good at that. What drove my mom crazy wasn't me. It's because she never wanted to go by herself. So that means someone else with a kid always came with us. And now that kid was annoying, right? Can we go something else? This isn't the house. Are you there yet? I gotta pee. I gotta pee again. Right? It drives you crazy. Right? So I'm just saying, I know y'all haven't traveled nowhere because you said you had 3 kids. You had 3 kids. I want to travel. You've never traveled nowhere because no one wants to travel with 3 kids. They want the kids to grow up. And then once they're able to take care of themselves, then they want to travel when they can leave the kids behind. Right?
Right.
Come on. Come on.
When I saw this here, I thought this was Brandy.
Which one? Mm.
This right here. I thought it was Brandy.
Oh,
I'm like, why is Brandy hanging up there? And I'm like, okay, Summer Walker. That got to be somebody.
it does look like her a little, yeah.
That's what I thought it was. I'm like, why is Brandy hanging? What is this about? But I don't know who this artist is, Summer Walker. But she got some
Neither.
record deal. So, yeah, okay.
There's a few lookalikes coming up. Like on the Lapeef show, I watched it last night for the first time ever. And there's this chick named Kayla on it. But I thought that that was Issa Rae. I actually thought that Issa Rae was on the panel. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll see what this is about. It was not Issa. It was this girl named Kayla. And then they commented at the beginning, it's like, anyone ever tell you look like Issa Rae? She's like, yeah, I've been told that, but I don't see it. I'm like, I did. I thought that's what this was. I came. This
Mm,
wasn't an Issa Rae. So, and it's not like they're far apart in age. So I don't know. There's a lot of like lookalikes coming up for some reason. Looking like somebody. I didn't
interesting.
even know Issa Rae was somebody, but apparently she is because people are starting to look like her. So check you out, girl. All right.
Okay, she's getting somewhere.
Mhm.
Let's see. I watched him a few times. Prince, Donnell, and Dana Chanel, I guess. Fake Guru Friday. Don't know what they do. Never heard of them before.
Oh, I hate that guy's face. I don't, I don't remember. I can't. I mean, I don't remember his content or anything like that. But like on site, I'm like, oh, I hate this guy. But like, I don't remember what his voice sounds like or what his content sounds like. So like, when I hate your face, that means at some point I heard something you said and I didn't like it. So now
Oh,
I hate your face. When I see you, my reaction is negative. So I'm gonna say I don't like him. I don't
you
know.
keep going. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Listen, I'm a very judgmental person. You already know. So
Yes, yes, we
mhm.
do.
I know, right? But
Let's see. Kevin Samuels live 11-4. Okay. This is under a microscope, a killer T cell attacking cancer. 9 years ago. Wow.
hmm,
The honest truth docs and exposed by saying all black mothers are the worst mothers. Taz was right. Yeah, I did see some of this.
black
But
at all.
he mentioned that already though, that he used to say some crazy stuff some years ago.
uh, Constantly. That was the thing that I find very confusing about this whole new narrative that's come out. Because I'm like, well, first of all, I just remembered him. When I clicked on his stream a couple months ago, right, because I didn't know he had gotten all big and stuff. Um, the first thing I was like, yo, I've been on a panel with this dude. Like, not recently, I've been on a panel with this dude. Like,
Hmm.
I'll say maybe early last year or the year before. Like, I recognize him. I remember him because the panel that I was on was very polarized. And there was only two or three of us that were not completely polarized, and he was one of them. He was definitely on the manosphere side of things, but he was willing to be reasonable. And he also was directly asking me questions versus say asking more of the polarized people questions, because I think we were just we were both tired of this polar extreme lack of logic nonsense. So I remembered him. And I was like, okay, yeah, hopefully I'll, see you around. Never did until I saw him, whatever. So that
Mm.
same stream, he said it. I used to be in the manosphere. Okay, it's definitely him. And then almost every stream I've ever watched of his, he says it all the time. I used to be over there. I used to say exactly these same things. Right? Like
Hmm.
he spelled out sometimes the crazy things that he said or the disrespectful things that he said. And he even said that, at the time he was homeless, he was living in a car, he was doing whatever, and he was blaming all Black women for his problems. And he was ignoring the fact that the only help he had been getting in life was from Black women, right? Because one
Right.
Black woman he said one Black woman hurt him and left him in a bad position. And instead of taking any accountability for the position that he was in or taking accountability for trying to change that position, he was just going to point fingers at that Black woman. That's Black female nature. It's not his fault. It's women's fault. And then he found a place to reinforce that so he didn't have to sit in accountability.
Hmm.
And when he was done wallowing and letting his life continue to fall apart while he felt sorry for himself, he started checking himself. And then he started taking, a look around, and he realized that he's accountable for his own choices, even just letting that woman in to begin with and staying there and taking all that to the place where he was and not doing anything about pulling his life back together and ignoring all of the good females around him that have been helping him his whole life, including through the situation he was in, right? And so then he got to the place where he's at now. He's like, oh, I see what's happening. The manosphere is a place that is allowing us to just wallow in our pain and find more and more ways to hate and blame Black women so that we never fix ourselves, right? Now, I've heard him say this countless times. Like,
Okay.
seriously, I,
I heard a
I've heard him
few
say
times. Okay.
I've heard him say it a lot of times. I don't know. Maybe it's just like it's lucky that every time I tune in, I hear it. But I've heard him say it a lot of times over the last few months. And I also know that he's done like a documentary type thing, to deeply discuss his life. But I think that's like a paid thing on Patreon or something, or on his channel.
Oh,
So
wow.
right, but either way, it's not something he's hiding. He didn't even remove the videos from his own channel, from the Manosphere. So I'm just like,
Hmm.
why are we like, oh my God, I can't believe it. He's exposed. He said this before. Well, we know. He he admitted it a lot. Like
Hmm.
that's part of his narrative. That's part of his rhetoric. So how are we using it against him now? I don't get it.
Yeah. It's different when somebody show you doing something that you haven't mentioned, that's different. So the only thing I could say, would it be best that he go back to what he used to say and do, or I'm a little confused on that, but okay.
Right? I mean,
All
but it's the
right.
same thing like so Arthur. Yeah, that's right. I'm calling him up by name. Arthur. I can't remember his new thing. It's like Blacklight Productions or something. Anyway, he hates me. Hates my guts. He has spent years trying to slander my name. And the reason why, Shar, is because when I was on RBR's panel, RBR let up this very racist white guy. And RBR, being RBR, was booting everyone off the panel, right?
He
For like
want his
saying two
white guy
words.
to himself.
Pretty much. Well, no, it's just our viewers like that with most of them anyway, right? They say one thing he doesn't like and they won't shut up and he'll just boot them off the panel. And so everyone was getting booted off the panel except for me because RBR doesn't boot me off the panel. But I also follow basic rules. So if you tell me to shut up, I will, right? Like it's your panel. Um, so because even though I told RBR, hey, he's wrong for having this guy on the panel and he's wrong for silencing everyone else who wants to go up against this guy. And I told RBR everything,
Uh-huh.
right? And I told the way I'm not talking to him and basically valid, like he wants to feel special and important. And I'm not going to give that to him. So I'm just going to mute up till he's gone, is what I said. I'm not
Mhm.
having this discussion with him. Now, that's what I said. But apparently, because I didn't yell it and scream it and call the white guy and RBR all kinds of names, right? I'm a traitor. I'm not black. I'm this. I'm all these horrible things because I didn't scream what I had to say. And I didn't cuss him out and I didn't call him a bunch of names. And I see this a lot in our community because it comes at me a lot too. So seeing
Mhm.
it towards THT, I'm seeing the same thing where it's like, we're not allowed to have levels. We're not allowed to have a different approach towards things. We're not allowed to just calmly and quietly say, well, I disagree with you, or I think that's wrong, or do you not recognize the hypocrisy there? Like, we're not allowed to do that. If we're not yelling and screaming and cussing you, berating you and whatever, then we're co-signing you. And it's like, wait, what? That's how reality actually works. Like, we can't be mad because not everybody's the person who's going to be yelling and screaming and cussing and knows how to roast the hell out of you and whatever. Not everyone's about that, you know? And I think that's really an issue that some of us are always going to have in this space where because we're not roasters, because we don't know how to get down and dirty in the muck like that, and that's not how we approach things, we're always going to be called some kind of fake and posing and lying and this and that and da da
Okay.
da 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 because you ain't. But pretty much, if you don't yell and scream and cuss and roast and berate, then you ain't black enough and you ain't mad
Right.
enough,
You got to
right?
be average. You got to be
Yes,
average. Yeah, that's what it
right.
is. I get it.
Yep. Yep. So that's where
Mm.
those are the two things that I see with that situation. So, uh, I'm not trying to cape for anyone. I just reading it as I see it. And I'm like, that's what I see.
Okay.
Hmm.
Now this is interesting. There are 5 types of bed wenches. Now, I didn't know there was so many different types. Um, Now, my understanding, when this term is used, it means that they sleep with white men. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And what is the term when black men sleep with white women? What is that called?
Balling. I think it's called balling
Oh,
or balling out of control. I'm not sure exactly.
oh, okay. Well, all
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. No, I mean, honestly, I technically it's called like buck. What is it? Like buck something? Like buck breaking or something like that. But if we're talking about in trying to use it with the slavery terms, right? The bed wench and then the buck something. And so, but I really don't hear a lot of people. It depends on what group you're talking about, right? Because I'm going to be real. The women will use both terms, right? They will denigrate both the men and the women for whatever they're doing. But the men tend to only denigrate the women. So it depends on what group you're talking about. Men denigrate the women, and then the men who are sleeping with white women, well, they're just exercising their options. So, so it's fine. It's fine. When they do it, it's cute.
Okay.
Yeah. I,
I'll
I,
leave that one alone. I don't know.
I know, girl. I know.
Welcome to the panel, Miss Regina. How are you?
Miss Regina, my favorite. How you doing, girl? How you doing? So happy to see you. You better not be a Miss Regina clone. You better be the real thing. I need some real Miss Regina today.
Yeah, I thought it'd be interesting that she look at some of these titles and like, what does that mean? What is going on? I can see it
That
now.
would, yeah. Yes. I can't wait till she can unmute because that's going to be funny.
Oh my goodness, y'all have taken me to a whole nother level. Hey loves, hey
Girl!
y'all.
Hey there.
Hey, girl!
Welcome.
Oh, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Yes.
Oh, hey.
How you been?
Miss you guys so much. Miss you.
We
I
miss
miss
you
you
too.
too. Man, I
Oh,
need your sunshine, girl. I do. I've been having a
oh,
hard 2021. You need to come around more often. We need your sunshine.
oh my goodness. And I need y'all's. I'm like, I told my daughter, I was like, I miss the group. I miss
Mhm.
that communication. I miss that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's necessary.
Exactly.
Hmm.
You don't
Yeah.
realize how important it is until you're missing it. You're like, oh,
Like, wow. Yes.
absolutely.
Agreed. Agreed. Now I've been trying to listen in. So my normal MO is to jump in when I hear something.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So we're just going down YouTube Street, just seeing what's happening and
Uh,
looking at the titles and just talking about them.
yeah.
That's all we're doing tonight. And you may see
Okay.
some interesting things, and you're like, "What is that? What does that
What
mean?
was
What it?"
that?
Well, let me ask you, Miss Regina, what's
Yes,
a bed
love.
wench? What's a bed wench?
A bed wench? That's a name? Oh my goodness. Wait, wait,
Oh.
wait a minute. Wait a minute. That's a name, bed wench.
Bed wench. Yes, ma'am. That
Mhm.
is a term. It's a term that they use on Black women. You don't even know what to say. What?
You you're kidding me, right?
No.
No.
No, I've heard in the
Okay,
YouTube
okay,
streets.
okay, okay, okay. I'm because I'm
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Girl, you cutting in and out.
Testing, testing, one, two, three. Do
I'm
we hear nothing?
sorry.
Oh, there we go.
There we are. Okay. No and no. Bed
Okay.
wench.
Bed wench. Now I'll tell
Oh,
you what it is. So
please do.
it technically goes back to slavery times, and it's talking about the black women, because this is really where it's coming from. It's coming from the slaves, right? They were born into slavery, but a white man, right, one of the rich white men, has taken favor to them. So basically, he sleeps with her, and she gives him all kinds of sexual favors, cooks for him, cleans for him, does whatever he wants, right? And she gets put up in a little house of her own. She don't have to be out in the fields with everybody else, right? And as long as she's his good little sexual mistress, she gets to basically escape slavery, right? And so that's a bed wench. So now they've applied that term to black women who date or seek out white men of high value or whatever, and basically are saying any black women who are dating white men are bed wenches, because yeah,
Wow.
yeah, pretty much.
Okay. So I went ahead and did my little Google search. So low status concubine, pretty
Pretty
much.
much, yeah.
That's the definition. So and you want to know my feelings about that? Okay. Oh, you want to
Well,
know my feelings?
girl, the video we saw, right? It said there's 5 types of bed wench, not just one type. There's apparently 5 types in this 2021.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, we got types now. Oh, well, wait a minute now. Well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute now.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so first of all, from one, you know, um, the sad part about this is that we're repeating history. You know that, right? So it's that's all it is. It's
Hmm.
just we're just repeating history. What has happened in the past, you know, whether she
Mhm.
was the house mistress, concubine, whatever, and then our men being frustrated, and and so now she's like, okay, I'm to the point where now I can't get treated right over here. If that's the way you feel, I'll go over here. It's just history repeating itself. But okay, go ahead.
Hmm. That's what we
Mhm.
do. We love to be self-defeating and circular in our logic. Love it. Like DeAndre used to say it to me all the time, right? Circles. And I would get so mad. Like, no,
But it's
forget
it,
the
but it
circles. This
is.
is, yep.
Yes, it is. It
People love
really
their damn
is.
circles.
And it's unfortunate, but now we have five types. And so where are we with the types? Because back then there was no type. You was just it. That was your role. But okay, we have types now.
That's
So
what
it's LaQuisha, LaVon, LaShawn, Sheila, and Mary and Shirley.
I don't know, girl. Shar, how long was that video? Can we find out the 5 types of bed wench? Like, do we
I
have time
I don't
for
know.
that?
I'm just looking at titles. I ain't clicking on nothing.
Oh, okay. I gotta look
Okay.
it up myself. All right.
Because the unfortunate part is that we're back to this space again, you know, where our women are degraded yet
Mm-hmm.
again, that's unfortunate. First of all, and we got to go back and now and you put them in classes and it's classes of women. It's 5 different types. It's unfortunate that even whoever created that, um,
It
it's
is.
unfortunate.
It
Yeah.
is. But you know what? Neek brought up the most important point that women need to hold on to, right? Uh, right? 5 types of bad wench equals 5 types of women that I want, but they don't want me. That's all this is about. Okay. Because
Uh-huh.
happily married black men got a black woman who loves them, right? They don't come up with videos like this because they already got what they wanted. It's
Mhm.
single people who cannot get the love or attention they want from the women they want, right? So they
Yeah.
have to find a way to make her into something terrible and then keep repeating that mantra. So that way it explains why they're not with that woman. It's not because the woman doesn't want them, it's because they don't want her. Like, no,
Yeah. Wow.
no. Yeah, so sad. Mm, so
Yeah,
sad.
we got problems. Houston.
Hmm. Right?
We have problems and it's unfortunate. Oh my goodness.
Now I'm going to point this out here.
Okay.
The $100,000 income obsession. Now I know what this means. It means that every one of you two say that they have 6 figures, and
Hmm.
that's the running joke. That is the running joke. And so I know this particular channel. He's just saying don't buy into it. So that's all this means. But
Oh, well, yeah, because it's bullshit. Oh,
I
I mean, they're so
even
set
like the
on,
thumbnail too. I'm dreaming of money.
girl, think about it this way. They are so set on stats and facts and figures. Now, if the fact is that the average black man, average, that means you take up all of the from zero to billions of dollars black men, right? And you average them. The average black man is making $40,000 a year. The average. That means the majority are making just under to just over $40,000 a year. That's like the large majority, like at least 60%. Who the hell are we fooling, right? That anybody in this space, let alone all of them, have $100,000 a year or should aspire to making $100,000 a year. That you need $100,000 a year to have a wife or kids or a life or a home or to be happy or to whatever. This is factually incorrect. It has to be factually incorrect because reality tells us that
Mhm.
60% at least of people are never going to get anywhere near that number, like at all, like at all. 1% of people make $100,000 a year or more. Do we think that 1% of people have time for the Black YouTube streets? I don't, personally. I don't think they have time to be anywhere near here. They're busy.
Yeah,
Girl, people making $60,000, $70,000 a year don't have time to be up in these streets like that. Let's be real, right? Like most people, y'all just have jobs, okay? Y'all just have jobs. And so
Mhm.
therefore you're not around as much as I am. And I don't
Uh-huh.
have a job. You know, that's why I can be around because I literally don't work, right? That's why I'm available. So just having a job is enough for you to not be around all the time. 99% of these people stream like 5, 6 days a week. Plus they're in everyone else's streams, like literally any time of day. But they
Mm.
all are 6-figure niggas. Really?
You're supposed to
How?
believe that. You killing the dream. You're killing the dream.
Come on. Come on. Stop.
You're killing the dream.
Yes, I am. I hope I kill it then. It's gone. Okay, enough. But because I need to find some people who are up in here, right? Because I know a lot of people here have 2, 3 kids and stuff like that. There are people who are married who have multiple kids. I want to know, and like, like I'm not trying to put people on the spot or whatever, right? But I want to know how much it's really costing their household a year. Because from what I'm hearing now, right, when people are breaking down the numbers, if you want to have like just a middle class lifestyle with two kids, and 2 adults, and just basics, then it's going to cost you to need to be making $400,000 a year in like most cities in America. Like that just sounds literally unfeasible, but it just doesn't even seem like it's true because most people have 2, 3, 4 kids, something like that. And I'm pretty sure most people combined are not making $400,000 a year. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just, is that really how much it costs? Like, someone needs to tell me who actually is living those lives, because most people who are telling us that that's how much it costs aren't married with children. So, like, I don't know how they would know, right? Like,
Yeah, it's and I'm going to share with you even back then, even back in the day, um, trying to rear three children, 2 parent household when I was married. It's
mhm,
difficult, and even when he could walk in the door making 60,000
mhm,
a year, and we're talking about the 90s. Um, it's difficult. It is a challenge. So I couldn't even imagine what the families nowadays are going through. So you're right to ask the question. If there's somebody who's managing it, how do you make that happen? I can't even um think of how that could be a way of, oh my goodness, I'm gonna bring food home, and it because it was the lying about the wick being on wick. No, he's not here, so we can have milk, eggs, and cheese. They weren't doing the full wick like they were doing it like they're doing it now. So it's gonna be, it's some juggling, and I think a whole lot of manipulation. Being
mhm.
able to manage that, I believe it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I think. I
yeah.
think. Listen, my parents, I know for sure, combined did not make $100,000 a year at any point in my. Maybe now they do. But when I was a kid, definitely not. And they didn't live together, which means their expenses are even higher, right? Because that means you're paying for 2 different rents, and they were young, and they still had me. And so when I think about it, right, I'm like, well, they didn't. Damn it. Okay, fine. I don't live in America. Fine, granted, right? But my point is that they just had to make it work, right? They wanted me to go to the best public school, and so they moved me to an area they could not really afford to be in comfortably, which means they made sacrifices because that's what you need to do as an adult, right? You don't just get to live super extra cushy and comfy and da 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 da, right? You make sacrifices. My mom would tell me she had a big lunch. I found out as an adult, no, she just didn't have money to feed herself and me. So she fed
Yeah,
me, right? Like
yeah.
that's what
That's
happened.
right. That's right. That's right.
Talking about
Right.
this, Vonda, going through the YouTube streets, and I just stopped on this the $100,000 income obsession,
Mm.
and we just talking about that.
But they're being lied to. This is a problem. You're speaking to a bunch of unmarried people who have not had a successful marriage or relationship or family of any kind, right? You have a lot of people who have not had any of the above. And they are preaching to other people who have never been married, don't have any kids, never been in a successful marriage or relationship, and they're speaking to each other. And so what happens is you can pass on whatever ignorance you want, right? Because they don't know to check you. They don't know to say, well, actually, when me and my wife had our third kid and we were not making anywhere near 100K, here's how we live. Here's where we live. This is what life is like. This is how much it actually is costing us, right? There's no one who is there to correct it. And that's why I want to hear, real people who are really out there. Because it's not just welfare moms who has 5, 6 kids, right? It's not just welfare moms who have more than one kid. And
That's
it's not
right.
just, we don't all just live in poverty, right? The majority of us are middle class. So I think the numbers are being skewed and they're preaching BS, which is scaring people away from marriage and scaring people away from desiring families and children and whatever. So I actually think it's very destructive for us overall.
Greetings, greetings, greetings. How are you?
I can't see who that is because it's Joe.
That was, oh, sorry.
Oh,
Lady G in the
Hey,
house.
Hey, ladies. Hey,
hey,
Shaw. Hey, Ruby. Hey, Miss Regina.
hey,
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 hey, hey.
How is everyone this evening?
Doing
yeah,
well. How are
even
you?
better. Even better.
Well,
We have the whole clan now.
right.
Okay, so you guys are talking about six figures and the lack thereof or the overabundance in YouTube.
Uh, both, because both are true at the same
Uh,
time, right?
uh, and
Well, you
I'm
know
gonna
what?
bow out. Okay, so
What?
I'm gonna bow out because there's no such animal as a six figure. No such animal, but y'all
Don't
go
you
ahead and
see that
work it
that is
out.
the craziest thing? Because I never knew that, the six figures was so important. You know,
Mhm.
um,
What you say? You better say that. Okay.
I'm gonna repeat it, Miss Regina, because I know
Go
this is
ahead.
a tough one. I did not
What
realize
you say?
that six figures were so important, and it was a very coveted, bracket to be in, because according to the YouTube stats, and we're speaking verbally because we don't have any real stats. Nobody's shown up with any tax returns, but according to what's verbally coming out of their mouth, they're all six figures, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm like,
Yeah.
what the heck? Well, damn, I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't know that was a thing. I'm gainfully employed. I'm from the old school, gainfully employed. It was, if you want a better job, you go to college, or you get some type of training or certification. But gainfully employed is better than unemployed.
Well,
Hmm.
no, Vonda. See, you gotta look at what Emmanuel said. See, now Emmanuel, this is the reality apparently of the black male in America, right? Is he's a triple billionaire, right? He lives on his own island in a smart castle with 50 bedrooms. The helipads are nice, but he just went ahead and built his own airport because like, why not? Right? I mean, that is the average life of the average black man in the YouTube streets, right? And they have time to be here all day, every day. Not even like making their own content, so at least they're bringing in some type of revenue. No, just to participate on your panel. But they're like, multi-billionaires. It's fine. That's how things are now these days, Fonda. Get with the times,
Oh
right? You
my
got to be a
God.
millionaire or else. Like,
Okay, you guys, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be a drama queen but you know what, Shar? I'm looking at your screen and I can see that gentleman and I know what he did to that dog and I am traumatized. I don't know if you guys know what this guy did to that
what?
dog.
Okay, let me point to
He's right
that.
there. He did some stuff to that dog and I am very traumatized in what he did to that dog.
Yeah, he's a vet. He was taking care of
Oh,
the
And
doggy.
he videotaped it, might I add.
Well, he wanted to, want that for a little downtime, enjoy himself.
Well, this man had relations with that dog, and I'm just looking at his face, and I'm like, oh my God, where's my little piece of tape so I could put it over his face?
He was a dog whisperer. Don't you understand?
He was doing
damn.
more than whispering to the dog.
You know,
Yeah, yeah.
you know what I thought at first when I realized that must be the title. I thought it was, remember the story we did, Shar, of of the guy and then he got stuck in the doggy door. after trying to assault the dog. So that's what I thought it was at first. But oh no, it's a whole vet. Oh, okay. Um,
Yeah, that was his girlfriend. Yeah.
wow.
What?
He
You,
liked doggy style.
that's putting it mildly. That's explicit doggy style. You can't. There's no language for that. It's like, dude.
Oh, oh,
Yeah.
oh, and he also like child pornography. So just in case you,
Oh, extra
including those of
messed
infants
up.
and toddlers, he was found with in possession of thousands of images of child pornography, including infants and toddlers.
Oh my God, he was just a whole package.
Yes. Yeah. Um, he attributed it to past trauma, explaining how he witnessed his stepfather severely beat his mother as a child. What? How? Wait. Because, okay, so I think a lot of people have experienced some type of trauma as a child, but I think we've heard a lot of people who, as children, saw one parent abuse the other. And so he sexually abused animals and downloaded child porn because his daddy used to beat his mama. Like that's his connection. Okay.
Well, we don't know what he was doing while his dad was beating his mom to take his mind off of beating his mom. Maybe he was messing with the dog, or I would hope he wasn't, abusing a child, but who knows? I'm sorry, but when you do something like that with a dog, that's not something that, oh, I stumbled upon this. He been doing that. He's
Yeah.
very well versed in it. He's been doing it.
Oh no, this is even worse. The ruling also factored in that Madden, the vet, had allegedly sexually abused a teenage boy younger than 16 while he was building his collection of child pornography.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah, but the mother was there on Friday and she said that even though Madden's actions were evil and horrific in her eyes, she forgave him and cited a passage from the Bible. Why do we do that, Black people?
I don't know.
I
That
don't
Bible
know.
can't do anything for me. It's like,
I
stop
don't
it.
know.
We're not going to put it in the Bible.
No,
I don't know
no,
what happened. The
always.
poor man. He needs
Like,
help.
but see, yeah, he needs help. But someone abuses your child under the age of 15, and your response is to be like, listen, and this is in court. His actions were evil, but I forgive him because God said. And then you
I'm
pull
not.
out your Bible, quote your Bible verse, which you want to, like, what are we doing? What?
Yeah,
I
why
know
even
that's a
go to
Black
court if
person,
that's the case? Leave it alone.
right?
Yeah,
And
we don't even say nothing. Just give it to God. That's a no.
trust and believe, because if y'all want to say, right, because Christianity on this continent was given to us by who are the slave masters, right? Because that's just what it is. We just accept that. Here's the thing: if it's a Christian thing to turn the other cheek, right, then why is it that all those Bible Belt Christians are very much for capital punishment, right? Like they forgive you, I guess, but them forgiving you because it's only for God to judge you. But in the meantime, they want you to hang, right? Like we get this so twisted. Like, well, we just forgive you. You abused my child, who will be forever messed up now because of what you did to my kid, and you were doing all this other messed up stuff. So you are clearly a very sick person. But I forgive you. I'm not going to try to push for a harsh penalty or anything crazy like that, or for you to be specifically charged for what you did to my kid, because the ruling factored in that he did it, but he actually hasn't been prosecuted for that crime, even though they know he did it because he had the pictures and the admission and the kid and they know they did it, but the mother is not pushing for him to be charged for this and to get more harsh penalty. Why do we do that? Like, I don't. We are the only people I hear say such stupid nonsense. I'm gonna be real. Like that woman who freaked out in the courtroom and she
Mm-hmm.
was yelling and screaming, yo, her. That's what we need to be. Her. Like I don't understand why we're doing all this. I forgive you. Turn the other cheek. The Bible says foolishness because no one's doing it for us.
Mm-mm.
Never for
Mm-mm.
us.
Nope.
Now this here, I didn't see this movie, so I don't know what happened. But as far as with the title, I can do bad all by myself. I'm guessing that is speaking of I don't have to take abuse or um, pay your bills just to have a man. I can do bad on my by myself. That's my guess of what this title is saying.
The
Well,
movie.
that's
Mhm.
that's part of it, and then some. I mean, that has something to do with it. But in herself, she has a, a pretty, colorful life. She parties at night, she drinks, and she's had, bad relationships. So of all the things that's happened to her, now she's the product of what she's come through. And now she's finding her way through it and living her life. But yeah, part of that does have something to do with it. Why do you have to be with a man to be doing bad? You can really do that by yourself. You don't need company, you know?
Hmm.
Well,
And
I
that's
think
where
there's
she's at.
also like, and I had to go back and read the synopsis to remember the movie. It's been a while. Um, but part of it too, though, is that she had built so many walls around herself because of her trauma that she was basically by herself, right? And she was leeching off her married boyfriend. You know what I mean? Just getting drunk and high, and just
Mm.
she didn't have any real connections or real anything. So it is actually also acknowledging the fact that, isolating yourself, right, from the world, from emotion, be it good or bad, right? You're still doing bad by yourself, right? Because then the whole point is that, now she's gotta take on these kids, right? She's
Mhm.
like the closest living relative. She's got to take on these kids, but she's never been responsible for herself, let alone for anyone else. She's never cared about anyone else. She's never had to, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's not just that, oh, well, I can do bad all by myself, so screw a man. Well, she wasn't with the man at the time and she was doing terrible, right? She just had like basically a sugar daddy. And then these kids come into her life and she starts doing better, right? Like, I mean, yeah, it's a whole personal journey thing and whatever, but it's kind of like the realization that, yeah, you can do bad with somebody who's just adding to the badness, right? But being isolated and lonely and walled off by your trauma, you're doing bad. Like, or you could let people in, you could let love in, you could let joy in, you could let connection in and do better. I kind of feel like there's multiple messages there, but the
Oh
only
yeah.
one that stuck was, well, I guess you don't need no man. Like,
And that
that's
wasn't
not
the
all it's
main
about.
point.
Right.
You're absolutely correct. That wasn't the main point. I mean, there was the point in the movie where she did have the boyfriend that she would see, and he tried to, sleep with her niece, the little girl that she was taking care of.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's when she was like, she was gonna throw the radio in the tub. He was in the tub, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and he was like, "Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that girl just pushed up on me. I wasn't trying to get with that girl." And so, yet, and still, you could just see with in this point, this was another disappointment in her life. Another person that had let her down. And I'm not going to
Right.
say it was
You,
another man that let her
it,
down. It was another
the
person in her
person.
life,
Mm-hmm.
and it just happened to be a man. But it was like, you know what I need you for, with all this extra shit,
Mm-hmm.
excuse my language, I can do bad by myself, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And that's
Yeah.
where I took that from. It's like, I can do bad by myself. I don't need you here. I don't need company to do bad, you know?
Right.
I
Right.
feel like if
I,
it's two of us, hey, then we could come up out of this. But if we're gonna be doing bad, I like no company. I can do this by myself. Thank you.
right. Right. Because the whole point is, which a lot of people don't understand about relationships these days, right, is that when you get into it, it's actually supposed to inspire and motivate you. So you're kind of both, lifting as you rise in a way. So if something is like a ball and chain holding you down or keeping you stunted or keeping you, spiraling downwards, right? You can spiral downwards by yourself, right? Like there's no point on you bringing on the extra load so that way you guys can kind of, fuel each other to spiral faster downwards or stay even more stuck. You might as well be by yourself. And at the time, you probably don't process all the stuff you need to go through to get better, but you normally don't go through that process when you're with your dysfunctional compatriot, right? Because you're codependent. You actually need to be by yourself to work through that stuff and then start, building upwards again. So I think they like to bastardize anything. Let's be real. Anything that has to do with like Black female empowerment or Black female positive messages, they really get
There's always a
bastardized.
negative connotation behind it. Every single one. It's like,
Everyone.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
all right.
Exactly.
If that's what you think.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at this picture, this guy doesn't look desirable to average women that I can tell. And this is kind of messed up with the admission here, if that's what's going on. I have no proof to it, but I'm just saying by the title, if that's what this guy did, I could see that, like I said, he wasn't desirable. He wasn't picked by women. So it's unfortunate if this is what he chose to do, to have access to them, to women or young girls.
That's exactly what he did.
Wow.
He in his own words. I mean, nobody's putting words in his mouth. And you know what? People have every right to judge him because of the content of what it is that he's saying. People have a right to feel some type of way about a 35-year-old man sleeping with a 16, 17-year-old girl. People have a right to say something about that. He's sitting up here talking about it like it's a badge of honor. Then you know what? Damn it. People are going to have a right to say something. It has nothing to do with him as a person. It has everything to do with the content of what he was saying.
Mm-hmm. I mean, here's the problem, right? A lot of people don't know there's a difference between age of consent and age of majority. There are different laws, right? Age of majority is a countrywide thing. Right across the country, the age of majority, the age that you are an adult, is 18. The age of consent varies from state to state. That is controlled on a statewide level, and they kept it that way. Why? Mm-hmm. Because in the country, right, in the places where they were still doing agriculture and stuff, right, they needed people to get married earlier. People who were going off to work needed to get married earlier. And so, I mean, I think it's North Carolina or South Carolina, one of the Carolinas. Right, the age of consent, and the age where you could get married was 12 and 14 in my lifetime. Right, so we have to realize that age of consent is arbitrary. Now, with that being said, I'm saying that for a reason, because it's arbitrary. Because even when it was 12 and 14, it required parental consent, right, of the parents of the young people or person, first of all. It depends on the state. It depends on the way that you were groomed your whole life. I don't mean by a predator. I mean by your parents. Because if you are groomed to be a child your whole life and you have a childlike minded mentality, then when you're 18, you're not grown yet. Because you don't think like an adult. You don't think like a wife. You don't think like, that's not where your mind's at. Right? But if you were groomed to be a wife your whole entire life, by the time you're about 15, 16, you're about ready to go, because that's what you are in your head. You're a wife. You are ready for that duty. Oh, it's true.
Trying to get no wife. They just want that hole. That's all they were getting.
That's my point. Mm-hmm. That's my point, right? So what is he? When I hear of people, right, like I shared in the Bat Cave, I shared a video of this white YouTuber, very big one, called Repsion, and he just did a video to his ex-girlfriend, and it's basically he started dating her when she was 19 and he was 24, 25. There's a 6-year age difference. Now, because he's been a big YouTuber for a long time, she actually knew who he was back when she was like 9-10 years old. He didn't know who she was. They had never had a conversation. The first time she reached out, she was 17. So
Mhm.
under the age of majority, maybe in the age of consent, depending on what states they're in, right? But he didn't deal with her then. He was in another relationship. They had like a normal conversation you would have with a random subscriber, and then that was it, right? And then she reached out again when she was 19, and he said, you're kind of young, but okay, I'll give you a shot. We'll go on a date. Now the point is he didn't go searching for, ooh, I want to find someone young so I can manipulate them and da 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 da, and they'll be under my control and I can mold them into who I want to be, right? Or who I want them to be. What is your motivation? That's what I'm looking at. Are you searching it out? I need young things, never been touched, and I can manipulate and control them. It'll be easier because they're younger. They haven't been touched by the world yet. Blah 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 blah. Then I
Well,
don't care how old she is. I don't care if she's 19, 20, 21. Then you have a predator mindset, right? You have a predator mentality, and it's going to be a predatory relationship, no matter how old the woman is, if
I
that's
got
your mindset,
candy. I got
right?
candy, little girl.
Yeah,
ooh,
because then
that sounded
you
so creepy. Char, it's like, yeah, if some man said that, be like, dude, you don't go somewhere. I got candy.
Yeah,
So,
pretty much what they're saying. I have an income because
yeah.
I'm older
Mm-hmm.
and I make money.
exactly.
And wouldn't you like something nice, little girl? Wouldn't you like to get your hair done, nails done, everything did?
Well, yeah,
Oh,
they do that, but here's another thing that happens. Remember, I was in an abusive relationship and I was in a lot of large age gap relationships.
Hmm.
Legal, but still the legal age for consent when I was a teenager was 15. So keep that in mind. Now, one thing that in an abusive relationship, the context, and they'll use that age difference, is they start making you feel inferior for your choices about everything. And not just inferior, like you're being a stupid kid about it, right? But like they also make you feel like you're gonna embarrass them, or they start making you feel like, oh, well, they should leave you then, right? Like, oh, you're gonna wear that? No, that's what kids wear. Like, oh, I thought you said you could be an adult. Da 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 da. Right? And so you start feeling like you're wrong about everything. So then you start putting all those decisions about how you dress, how you do your hair, what you read, where you go, what you watch on TV, right? You start putting it into their hands because you're like, oh, well, they know more than you. And you said you could be mature and grown and you think differently. And so you gotta kind of conform because this is what adults are like, right? This is what the old people, if I was really 6 years older, this is what I would do. This is what I would think. And this is what I'd be like. And da, 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 da. So it actually is a very vulnerable place to be because once you get caught up in that mindset, it's very easy to start going down the slippery slope to controlling and then punishing you for everything, right? And that's where the danger comes in. Why are they with you? Why did they go looking for a 16-year-old? Or did you just, y'all were in the same Discord and you're talking to each other a lot? And then, you just got along and you just like the same things. And then you caught feelings. And then it's like, oh, shoot, but there's a big age gap. But was it like that, or were you pulling an R. Kelly, trolling around the high school trying to impress them with your convertible, right? Because there's a
Want to
difference.
ride in my car?
Yeah, there's a difference. I'm just saying. And most of these guys, I didn't hear that one, but I heard the Glendon one, and it was the words he was using that told me, I don't care if you were not breaking the law, you're a predator,
he was
right? Like
breaking
you.
the law. What a lot of people get really confused with the age of consent. If they say the age of consent is 16, it doesn't mean you as a 40-year-old, bum can have sex with a 16-year-old girl. It means that she at 16 can make a decision if she wants to have sex. But it depends on the state that you're in. That person that she's having sex with as a 16-year-old cannot be more than 2 to 3 years older than her. It
No,
doesn't mean
it
that.
depends on the state.
Yeah, and
Um,
yeah, and I think there are different, intricacies. So my thing
yeah,
is that you've always been taught that, hey, ignorance of the law is no excuse. If you're going to be trying to see a young girl, find out what the laws are in your state at the very least, you idiot. That's the way I would see it. Just
yes,
at the very least. If
but he's
that's
absolutely
you have
right.
a predilection for that. If that's what you have a predilection for, that's what you want. Okay, at least find it out. But don't just think, oh, it says the age of consent is this. That means so any 12-year-old can consent. No, that's not what it means. Find out what the details are.
Yes, but he's right about Georgia. In Georgia, when you turn 16, you are a consenting adult in the eyes
That
of
is
the law, which means you can have sex with anyone you want of any
that
age.
is just this. I'm sorry. That is this. That's disgusting. That even a man who that he would even think that that was okay. He would even think that that was okay. It's like there are some moralities, in yourself. It's like you think that's okay, but
Yeah, he did. Well, actually, he went and found out the law after the fact. Let's be real, because this is what he said. He said that first he wanted to do this girl. Then he went and found out the law and said, "Ooh, I'm covered." Okay, cool. So now this is as young as I can go. Yes. That's what he did. Right? Like that's literally what he said in the video. That's why I say he's a predator. Is there's a very big difference between falling into something and you weren't searching out a particular age or whatever, you just connected with a human being versus I'm looking for your age first. I'm looking for someone who looks young. I'm looking for someone who's at a particular age. I'm looking for someone who's insecure and can be molded and controlled and manipulated. There's a
Mhm.
difference. And like
Yeah.
I have a friend and he has a predator mind. And not for young girls, for insecure women, and he looks for it. He says he can see it in the crowd. In a crowd of women, you got women who basically have a stamp on their forehead that say pray for him. So he knows, oh, that one. That's the one that I can control and I can manipulate and I can use for insecurities against her. And he could just see it. Right. And he has a predator mindset. He's not going for young girls. He's not going for 16, 17, 18. No, he's going for women within his age category. Right. So that's what I'm saying. A predator,
is
you
a
have to
predator.
understand, it's a
Yeah.
predator. It doesn't matter what age they like. And yes, women can also be predators. Women can also have the same predatory mindset no matter what age of man they are targeting. Let's not get that twisted.
It's a human trait, not a male trait. It's a human trait,
Yes.
So I agree with that. Anyone can be a predator.
We need to care more about the female predators too, because it's problematic. Let's be real. We need to stop giving daps to
Well,
like
see that's where the problem lies, in that, the way it's looked at, when it's a woman. Oh, Miss, Miss Parker. Oh my God, you bang Miss Parker,
right.
as opposed to, like, oh, Mr. Johnson touched you. What a creep, that, but
Right.
that society has set it up that way. So now that's the way you look at it. They're both predators.
Right.
Mhm.
Society has
Right.
dictated that it's a badge of honor, when a boy, comes into his teen years and with an older woman. We've seen the Porky's movies, every
Mhm.
teenage movie was about that. The boy coming into, his own with an older woman or whatever. So it's like,
Weird
but
Science. Really, y'all remember that movie,
yeah,
Weird Science? Right? Like
yeah,
Mhm.
we didn't stop and think that those boys were very like they looked like boys,
yeah.
and the
She was
woman
24
that they
years
created
old.
was
She was a
right.
grown woman at 24.
Right.
You know, So
Exactly.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I mean, those are the double standards. I mean, it's like where did that come from? I mean, these are the things that are in place in society, you know?
hmm
But yet women
Right.
get blamed for it. Women get blamed for that type of stuff. Like, okay, yeah, we created it. We wrote the book on it. I mean, that's society, you know? I mean,
hmm
it's dirty either way. I'm not giving a woman a pass because she, slept with a 15-year-old boy. Why? I don't give her a
Ugh,
pass for that. I'm not doing that. I don't think that's okay. And I
no.
still don't think that it's okay for a man to do that.
Mhm.
I think it's wrong in both cases. But like you said, any guy that I've ever talked to, and they talk about it, from an older girl, that it was always something glorious and something they were happy about, And
hmm
I'm not, that's not to say that
Wow.
they were not damaged or some of the boys
Mhm.
were not damaged or it's not predatory. It is still predatory. But the
Right.
Well, they
whole
don't know that
outcome of
they're
how you look
damaged.
at it is completely different.
Like they don't know they're damaged. Like on the Lapiche
Right.
show, right? I
You're
was
right.
watching
They
last night.
don't
This
know.
they don't. I was watching this one episode who told me so much about a lot of things. So there's a guy on it. His name is Anton. He's the only one on the whole panel who's married at all, and he's been married for 6 years successfully. Very happy with his wife. But he has some kind of really stringent belief systems that, like, I was cringing at, right? And he's like, well, it's just because you guys aren't married, and so you don't know, and da da da. But then they came out with the fact that when he was 11, a 17-year-old woman really was sleeping with him. And it's like, and so they're saying, no, you do have trauma. Anton, he's like, I'm not traumatized. How am I traumatized? So, and
Mm.
it's like, he doesn't realize that he is, right? Because, everyone in his life framed it as, yeah, oh my God, you're so lucky, da 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 da, right? They gave him all these daps and props for it. So he said, okay, well, all of these feelings that I feel that are
Mhm.
negative, I should swallow those. I should put those aside, and I should feel like the man, right? So I should ignore the negative. I should repress the negative. And that's why he has feelings today, for example, like men should never ever be vulnerable around their woman. Not ever. Right? That's not what men do. Men should never be vulnerable, right? And then he equates that vulnerability to being a crying wuss who just walks around a complete puddle and a complete mess, and like he goes to such extremes with it, right? Well, probably because when he was 11 and he needed someone to be like, "Yo, that's not cool, bro. That's too much." Right? Well, she was probably demanding stuff of you. You were scared of, you didn't understand, you didn't really quite like yet, but like, you're supposed to. Like, no, that's not cool. Yo, that must have been scary. He never had anyone to validate those feelings for him. And he felt like, okay, well, if I squish back those feelings and I get all the props and I'm the man and da da da, and that's what manhood is. And so now he thinks that. He really does. And he doesn't see that that might be connected to trauma in any way because he doesn't think he's traumatized. Women know they're traumatized at least.
Mm. Wow.
Mhm. Then
Okay.
again, women over traumatize themselves. Going back to that Repsion thing, and for the record of the people who didn't see it, the reason why I shared it in the Batcave is because it was a white man talking about a white woman.
Mhm.
Because apparently white women are submissive and don't do nothing wrong, and I just wanted y'all to see the video footage for 2 hours of yeah, no, that's bullshit. Now, in that video, this woman, now that they've broken up and everything, she started lying. She started saying that he victimized her, and and also the man she cheated on him with, um, groomed her. Remember, by now she's like 21 or 22. Groomed her, and he let it happen. Wait, no, you cheat on your man, and then you're
Mm.
talking about how you want to screw the hell out of this new dude and da 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 behind the scenes with other people, and how you never want to sleep with your man again, who you are doing crazy stuff to in the meantime. And you go and you keep sleeping with that guy and having all these sexual talk and da 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 da. And now that he broke up with you and he wants nothing to do with you, won't even respond to you. Now, apparently, the guy you cheated on him with was grooming you. And then when that didn't work, now you want to call him a child predator and claim that he's been grooming you since the age of 9. What? Like,
Oh
she's
God.
going, oh, so
Wow.
yeah, women, not only do we accept the fact that we've been traumatized, we do know that we can take that as far as we want to take it. And some women do
But
abuse it.
but you know what? And that's the whole thing. It's like it's those that abuse it that make it messed up for the ones who the shit really happened to, because it does
Mhm.
Right.
happen. It
Yeah.
does happen. And there are a lot of women who won't even open their mouths because of chicks like this. They're like, you
Yep.
know what? I don't even want the hassle. You know what? I'll deal with it on my own. Don't worry about it, because I'm not about to be, your identity. You don't want your identity out there, because once it's put out there, oh, she was violated, you become damaged goods. And guess what? Other predators are like, oh, she's susceptible. You
Yeah.
you open yourself up. You're like, blood in a water full of sharks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Because
that's
they
Yeah.
they
a
smell the
woman
blood.
just
So it's like,
yeah.
you know what? I'm not gonna say anything. I'm my bad. I messed up. I'm just gonna, maneuver and curve and not try to let this mess happen again. Because
Mm-hmm.
I don't want the hassle. I don't want my life turned upside down. I don't want nobody asking me, well, why did you wear that? You had 2
Right.
drinks. Don't you think that was a little too much with someone you didn't know?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you accepted a ride? Oh my God, your
Mm-hmm.
skirt was above your knee. It's like everything is going to be your fault. Oh, you've had how many partners? It's like, oh, hell no. Why would any
Right.
woman Why the hell would any woman want to go through that?
Right. Like
Yeah,
a good example of
horrific.
that went super extra viral for months and was a viral funny meme was the Jada pose. Y'all remember Jada pose? It was a black young girl really passed out in a particular position, and people were doing memes and videos where they were videotaping themselves in that position and stuff like that, right? And they're taking this as a joke. And meanwhile, she was drunk at a party and passed out, and then they sexually assaulted her and left her in that position, took that picture, and that became a viral, funny meme. And
Oh,
then when the details of that came out, right, everyone was questioning her. Right? No one was questioning the boy. They were questioning
What were
her.
you drinking? Why were you there?
Right.
How come you had that much to drink? What was you doing? Were you upset? That's
Mhm.
terrible.
Right. And imagine your
Yeah.
name being attached to the meme to the Jada pose. So she came out.
But-
She came out, even though she was the assault victim, even though she was underage, she came out and talked about it. And I got to give her props on that one. She said, "Listen, this is not funny. And this is not right. I didn't pass out and decide to arrange myself in this position and whatever. This is what someone did when I was passed out and vulnerable. This is what a group of boys did. Why do y'all think this is funny?"
right.
Mm,
But see, my
sad.
thing is that that's where it just comes down is that, you know, then the argument begins. Oh, so you should be allowed to just be reckless, get drunk and have fun because it's your right to have fun without being sexually assaulted. Okay, technically, yes, it is. It is your right, to be able to,
Mhm.
to do that. But in the world that we live in, and we're all aware, although some of us had different levels of awareness. Some people think the world is worse than what it is.
Mhm.
But it's like I've never had any trust in any type of group setting or situation to where I felt I could just let all hell and freedom, just let it all go and drink, and guess what, I'll be safe. I've never felt that free. So for me personally, I wouldn't let myself get like that. But I mean, there have been other instances where, things were put in drinks, that will cause you to, behave and, become inebriated, quickly and fall over. But I've
Right.
just never felt that comfortable in any type of public setting. I'm not in my house. I'm not going to sleep anywhere unless I'm at home. And I'm
Mhm.
going home. I'm not one of the ones, oh, you woke up and you slept over at so-and-so's house. No, I'm going home every night. I'm not going home. There's no discussion. Oh, well, maybe no, not me. Y'all can do that. I'm going home. I don't do that. So for me, it's just a comfort level. I don't feel
Right.
that comfortable. But
Mhm.
technically speaking, one should be able to drink and, but still, like I say, why would you put yourself in that type of position with this crazy world? But like I say, there are other situations where, things are put in your drinks, but we just all need to be responsible, for ourselves as much as we possibly can. Because a predator is going to go out of their way. Even you be the most responsible person, but a predator, if you're a target of theirs and they're focusing on you, it's very easy for them to find a solution if that's the only thing that they're focused on.
Right.
That's their goal. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Mhm.
to get you. Oh, I just need to find an opening. They're gonna it's gonna happen if that's what they want.
Well, it's like being mugged, right? Like, what person? Well, when do you ever hear someone showed up to the police station and go, "I was mugged," and they go, "Well, were you wearing expensive clothing in a poor neighborhood? Were you flashing $20 bill? Did you take too long putting your money from the ATM into your wallet? What did
That's true.
you
You
do
never
to
hear
deserve
that.
to be
You never
mugged?"
hear that.
Right? Like, it's just because they don't care. It doesn't matter what you did. It's not right. It's not acceptable for some. Now, with that being said, we can have two different discussions. There's a discussion of, hey, listen, tourist, right? Don't sit there and start splashing your money around in front of these poor people's faces because, yeah, they're probably going to rob you. But it
Right.
doesn't make the robbing part of it okay. So it's me reporting a crime is not the time for you to start questioning me, right? Who should be questioning me as far as saying, okay, listen, let's have a discussion now about maybe how to protect yourself better in the future so you can be as aware and as safe as possible. Let's have that discussion. But that doesn't mean that the criminal who committed a criminal act against you is less at fault, right? Like you're still at fault if you commit a crime against somebody, regardless of what the crime is, no matter what they were doing at the time.
True. Very, very
That's
true.
Mm-hmm. Where are we at with these titles?
All right. Then this one, Jennifer Lopez, Me Too, Wesley Snipes.
Ooh.
Oh,
Okay.
And, that one, I'm just wondering, when did this happen as far as the, I don't know, interaction? Is
Okay.
this old?
right.
I heard a little interview today about, when that happened, and I kind of listened to it. So apparently it happened when they were doing Money Train. And 90 something. It was 90 something. So they were, both still new, but Wesley Snipes had been, through the, the 70s and the 80s. So, he already was a big, he already had his name. So basically what he told her is like, well, you want your sex scene to be really good, because if it's not good, you're going to end up on the cutting room floor, So in that whole thing, he was trying to, like push up on her and get really comfortable and get very familiar with her. Basically, from what he was saying, so that, when they did do the sex scene, it would be a good sex scene, and it would, be hot and it would do its thing the way it's supposed to in the box office, because back in the day, a sex scene was what it was about, Basic Instinct days, the 80s and 90s where, you had that hot sex scene. So he was like, telling her that. So he did, flirt with her a lot, and push up on her a lot. So when it came time to do the take for the, the scene, she said the only thing that was between them was just, the little cock sock he had over his penis. But, they were all full on, body naked, titties on his chest type, deal. And, she said he was, sucking her, boobs, and, it was a sex scene, because they be really doing some of that stuff. And basically she felt that, nowadays she was like, I would have had a sheet, I would have had this, and I would have had that in between me. But because I didn't know any better, and I'm listening to this man while he's pushing up and pumping between my, just pumping on her, because I mean, they got to, simulate sex, right? So he got a little cock sock on. He ain't got no drawers on, so his ass is out. I don't know what's between her legs, if she, I don't, I'm not sure exactly how that part works out. If they got a little, whatever, but you can't tell me his little cock sock wasn't at attention. So he was trying to do some, the whole thing was just like, I'm like, oh my God. And so she's like, I'm all new in the movies and just, like doing, having him do all of this to me. She said she felt violated. So that's where the violated part came. And he was just saying, look, the sex scene was, is basically the money maker. And if it's not a good sex scene, it's going to mess up everything. And she felt he took advantage of her because she didn't know any better by being a newbie in the business. Like she said, she could have had other things between them, but all they had between them was, the cock sock and, him just, like I said, they bare chested against each other. It's like, dude, I just met you like 5 minutes ago. I don't even know you, but now I got my titties on your chest, So it was like, okay. But, she's like, oh, I was young and, I just didn't know. And she went the whole innocent route. But it was like, okay, Jennifer.
Okay, I'm going to tell you why I'm pissed off about this. I'm going to be real. So first, she says that she didn't speak up for herself. Number one. You can't accuse someone of being a violating predator when you didn't say, hey, I'm uncomfortable. I don't like this. Please stop. That's number one. Number two is this. So, because I'm reading about it right now, right? And I'm listening to Wesley's side of the story. And he's saying, okay, well, what happened was she had never done a love scene before. She was absolutely terrified. I was given instructions from the director to make her feel good. That was my job. I knew people would look at the screen and say either they have chemistry or they don't. I
Real
told her
good.
if she took my advice, we'd do a wonderful erotic scene, and if it wasn't a good love scene, they'd edit around it and throw it on the floor. Yeah, that's basically
That
what it
worked
is.
for me, but okay.
Right. 1995, trying to act like Wesley Snipes was, like Will Smith of today. Like, he wasn't that established. He was trying to break out into the, kind of general scene, like everyone tries to do. You want to be on the big, big blockbuster kind of thing. And so he doesn't know either. So they say, okay, listen, y'all got to be naked in the bed, both of them. And then she said he was really good with asking, like, hey, what do you need? What do you like? What's going to make you more or less comfortable with the scene and whatever. So he was trying to accommodate her at the time. Now, she didn't know what else she would need to make her feel more accommodated. She just said she wanted some loud music. So he put the cock sock on, gave her some loud music. She could have at any time said, listen, I'm not comfortable with this on. She didn't say any of that. And he was trying to do a good scene for the thing. Now, not only that, but, and this is true, we all know this, when we watch movies, right, and there's two people who are supposed to be in love, we care about the chemistry between them. And what he was saying is, he was trying to establish some chemistry with her outside of filming as well, because, they don't really know each other, they don't have that. So Jennifer's saying, yeah, she was flirting around with all the co-stars. You always do that in movies. He was flirting with her, and she said he was taking it a little bit further, like at the end of the night, trying to kiss her goodbye, stuff like that. But like, he wasn't doing anything like crazy. I think he was just trying to build up a little bit of chemistry so that scene would be good. And so
that's what I thought. I mean, I was like, so they would be comfortable. I mean, because when you're in a sex scene, you do have to get intimate. You have to like put your lips and your mouth on another person. So if you guys are going to be raunchy in the scene, I mean, don't you want to be comfortable or like the person, at the very least? But, I don't know, maybe, she was like, I did way more than what I should have done at that. She was like, because I didn't know, I feel, like I feel taken advantage of. But
no, who can make that claim? Denise from Cosby. She can make that claim because she was young and stupid and didn't know. And Billy Bob actually had sex with her during the sex scene because she didn't know that they mimic it. So he said, yeah.
You know what? I'm sorry. That's disgusting. That is disgusting.
That's what I'm saying. So when he said, no,
Billy Bob, come on, Billy Bob.
That's what I'm saying, right? So yeah, he coerced her. He said, you have to do it. Like, this is how sex scenes were done. And she found out after the fact, like, no, they don't actually have real intercourse. So that's not what happened with Jennifer. You're like, oh, I would have had pillows and stuff. Okay, well, you would have, but both of you were pretty amateurish. You didn't really know nothing about this. And y'all were working with what was thrown at both of you. Right? So he was just trying to advance his career, just like she was. When she agreed to the movie, and this, I've said this before. People go, oh, like that porn star chick who's talking about, feeling bad about stuff she's done. They're like, well, you signed up for porn. Well, but they could change stuff. They change stuff all the time. That's what happened with Jennifer and Wesley. They signed up for this movie, and then midway through the movie, while they were filming, they added the love scene in. So neither of them had actually signed up for the love scene, but now there was a love scene. And Jennifer was kind of like, well, there's no point of it. And Wesley was like, who cares if there's a point or not to me? This is what they want. I want this to be the next big blockbuster. So I'm going to do my best to give them something hot and steamy because I want a career. Right? Like, he didn't do nothing to her. I'm sorry, but this pisses me off because I'm reading even what she said. He tried to be accommodating. He was asking me what I was comfortable with. He was asking me what I wanted to do or not. He's like, oh, and then the scene starts and he's kissing me and kissing my breasts. And I'm so, oh my God. It's a love scene. What did you expect him to do? Just
right. And I'm just trying to figure out why now to talk about it. I mean, I'm just curious. What is
it's like, girl.
Yeah, what is this all about? I mean, do you need to see a therapist about this to pass? I mean, really, what's going on? I'm kind of curious. That I don't get that. I don't.
And she also has to realize that the weight that her name carries now, because she's an established entertainer. versus where she was then. So she was hungry. She's well fed now. Do you understand? So there's a big difference. So she can look at herself now and be like, there's no way in hell I do that now. Well, honey, you're not hungry. Then you were hungry. You were just coming off of being a fly girl and you were starving. That stomach was growling and you was like, yes, I'll do it. He can suck these
And
titties.
she
I don't
did
care.
it. So that's
And
the thing.
she did it. And now she's looking back and she's thinking of herself as the Jennifer now. And she'd be like, I shouldn't have let him suck my titties. He shouldn't have did that.
Oh,
You know, I feel taken advantage of.
you might go
It's
back in high school. I shouldn't have did it with that guy over there. I mean, come on. I'm
it's
probably
like,
gonna go back
Jennifer, just chill, girl. Chill.
I want to point
Yeah.
this one out because I think we'll be talking about this for a little while. Now, I thought sure cuffing season. Let me put my cursor over it. Am I the right one? I thought cuffing season is when the man is looking for a spot with the woman. But the way this picture is, the woman is reaching for the man. Has something changed recently, or I just
That,
got the information wrong, or
it looks like fishing to me. She got him on the hook.
yeah, but I thought the whole thing with the cuffing season is when the man looks for a woman.
I honestly need DeAndre to explain. I still I've
Yeah.
Yeah,
never
I was
heard
gonna
the
say
term.
DeAndre would need
said
to
it.
explain it only
Yeah.
because I always thought it was the time of season where both parties were very antsy to couple together. So it was like cuffing season, and the men they turned, and the women are are ready. The men are looking, the women are fanning, showing what they
Oh,
got.
okay.
Like, cuffing season, he's like, summer dresses, tank tops. Women are doing that and the men is looking for that. That's what they're looking for. That's what they want.
Okay, because that's what I've understood it to be. The man was looking for a spot with a woman because it's getting cold.
Oh, see now, and I
Oh,
understood it. I
okay.
never actually understood it till very recently at all. Like I couldn't really understand what anyone was talking about when they said it. So I just went, but like I
Oh,
didn't get it. And then I saw something, and basically my understanding once I watched this was that so once the spring and summer comes, it's
mhm.
hot weather, so everyone wants to be out there, hot girl summering, and whatever the version of men's hot girl summering is, you keep your options open, have your fun time and whatever. And now the cold months, right, fall and winter are going to come, and you're not going to be out there in the clubs like that, and whatever, and all the holidays are coming up: Thanksgiving, Christmas, all of that, Valentine's Day, times you want to get gifts and feel love. So cuffing season is the season right before the cold winter hits and stuff, where you lock down somebody and you get into a relationship with them to ride out that 8 months or so, right? So that way you have someone to spend Thanksgiving and Christmas with, and Valentine's Day with, and New Year's with, and whatever. And you kind of like settle down with that person, because you're not going to be out there exploring your options because it's too cold and miserable, and it's no fun to be exploring your options when everyone else is exchanging gifts and you're not getting them.
That's a
So
great explanation. Yeah, that's a little bit deeper than I even knew it to be. And it makes sense. Like you say, you start in the spring and summer, all the way through, the fall and winter, and through the spring of next year, if you guys can make it.
right, exactly. It's like that period of time in the year where it's like it might not last through the next spring and summer. It doesn't really matter. It's not about that. It's
Right.
just everyone gets cold and
It's
lonely.
just getting through those cold winter months,
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And it's mutually beneficial. You might not be in love with each other, but everyone's gonna get to not feel alone and lonely. Everyone's gonna have their TV series they get to binge with each other. They don't have to be up in Tinder like that, trying to walk in the cold to get to the coffee shop to see if they hate each other,
Mm-hmm.
What the world? Wow.
That,
Oh.
that was my understanding. So I mean, I don't know though. Right, like I said, until I heard DeAndre use it a few years ago. I had never even heard the term. Right. So it's not like a popular term here for me to say, oh, well, yeah, I totally understand. But I guess it kind of makes sense. It's like, because I didn't even know what he meant by cuff. Like, I think that was the problem is in my head, I didn't understand what cuff meant. Like, it was like, does it have something to do with the baby doll dresses? Or like, I
Girl,
couldn't.
that's a chokehold. You got that fool in a chokehold. Y'all got each other in a chokehold. Y'all cuffed up. We together.
Yeah.
We
See,
is
I didn't
together.
get that.
You
Trust
mine
I,
and you's mine.
girl, it took me forever. And then you know what? It's funny because the video I'm talking about, it had its display picture was handcuffs. And I went,
Yep.
oh, cuff, handcuff. I'm gonna hand. Oh, look, it took me.
Yep.
How many years has it been? 3?
That's the chokehold. That's the chokehold. You got each other in that chokehold. We are together. That's when you're like in like that new committed relationship. Y'all haven't been together for 5 years, but you think y'all been together for 12. The way that you act in this short period of time.
Right, because it's not actually about, say the honeymoon period of really being in love and building with someone. It's just literally about not having to live your winter life alone. That's it. Like, it's just, I don't really like you, but you'll Netflix and chill with me. I don't have to be searching for nobody. You give me some type of Christmas gift. New Year's Eve, I'll have someone to kiss at midnight. Valentine's Day, someone will bring me out to dinner. Right, like all those months, I don't have to be alone.
Christmas party, I don't have to go by myself.
Right,
I can bring you with me.
Right.
Time of year, all those little holiday celebrations. Somebody having a little Thanksgiving, Christmas, holiday party.
Exactly. It's not about family. It's not about your family meeting someone. No, it's about all of the social stuff. Your social life, the rest of your life. Because you're not trying to necessarily build. You might accidentally fall in love with this person and start building with them, but that's not the point. The point is
because you're spending time with them and you're having sex with them. It's like, come on, you're not a pure animal. You're going to get some attachment, even though, like you say, this is not even the ideal relationship, but this person is here at this time of year in my time of need.
Exactly.
So that's the only time they can get along, huh?
Right.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Right.
Very
you put your differences aside because you need this person to last that 6 to 8 months, right? So like, that's the thing. People think that the best relationships in the world are the ones that don't fight. That's not true. If you don't fight, it's because you don't care, realistically. So you are going to fight about things. So what actually dictates if a relationship is healthy or not is not if you fight, it's about how you fight. So if you're with somebody and you're not invested enough to argue your point, or to, you know what I mean? Then you're not invested. You don't care. That's why you're not arguing.
You don't care, right?
This person's not going to be around long anyway. So, I don't care how he lives his life. I don't care what he wants to do with his future. I don't care if he wants kids or not.
I see something. Okay. Exposed. I saw the honest truth exposed.
Oh, you missed it, girl. We talked about that. Okay, what do you think about it?
Okay. Well, you know what? Okay. Just with that title, you know what? This is the day and age that we live in. We are in a social media day and age. And if you're somebody that is digitally attached, know that whatever you've done, that's going to come out. And if you make yourself in a position where there are people who don't like you, the more popular you become, the more people are not going to like you. So your secrets are going to come out. And, it's like, okay, well, this stuff is about you. This stuff is you. So if someone brings it out, are you going to be ashamed of it? Are you going to be like, okay, that's me, I'm going to embrace it? But you have to know the more popular you become, that this flavored or this colorful part of you that you don't particularly highlight in your present setting is going to come out. Because that's just the nature of people, and that's what they're going to do. Okay. So it's like, with that being said, I just really feel that people, not only my Black sisters, women, you have to be very careful of who you're listening to, who you're supporting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're spending time, you know, watching someone stream and someone resonates with you, nobody can tell you who resonates with you or why you listen to a certain person, you know. But if a person is, you know, presenting themselves in a way and they're shown to not be that, and they're like, you know, someone who's really not a friend, but really a foe, you know, that just goes to show that, you know, you need to use just a little bit more discernment, because there are a lot of people out there like that. You know, he's one of many, you know, dudes that came out, you know, oh, these women ain't shit, only to flip around and say, oh my God, the Black woman is God. And it's like, you got to question that. In my opinion, anytime somebody's coming out and they're talking like that, you've got to scrutinize and question it. But even with that being said, you should do that with almost everybody that you deal with. Or is it that what you're watching is just entertainment and you appreciate, you know, what it is that you're watching for this moment? Maybe you don't agree with everything this person says.
Now, let me ask you a question, Vonda. So you didn't know, or did you not know that he, on the regular, talks about the fact that he came from the manosphere and he was in the manosphere for a long time and actually literally was in line with most of what they said?
You know what? I had absolutely no idea whatsoever and no clue. And I absolutely did no research on this dude. But my thing is that there was something that stood up on the back of my neck, you know, that was just like, okay, what? I wasn't fully comfortable. I wasn't fully comfortable and I wasn't fully vested. You know, I watched the stream here or there and I was like, oh, okay, cool. You know, but I went on about my thing. There was nothing about him that captured me that made me was like, you know, made me, you know, seem like, okay, I'm just going to stay here. I'm comfortable here. It wasn't like that, because I know a lot of guys do that, you know, and just because a man is, you know, speaking favorably, doesn't matter who he is or what color he is. You have to always caution why are you saying this? You know, why would you say this? Now, if you're somebody who's proven to have always spoken this way and you've always, you know, presented yourself this way and demonstrated this, you know, that's easy to prove.
But see, now what he said though, Vonda, is this, right? And because I watched a few more streams than you, but I actually remember him from the Manosphere days. So when I look at, and then I remember him from the Manosphere days, didn't see him for a long time, and then, you know, a few months ago, I was like, oh yeah, this is the same guy. I was on a panel with him. So I actually remember him from that time. And so now what he says is this, and his rhetoric is not the Black woman is God. I think that the part of the issue, at least, right, is that because women are hearing a man speak unfavorably against Black men or unfavorably against the rhetoric of the manosphere, right, they have built him into one of the Black women is God people, and so that's what they were expecting. But that's not what I got from his content, probably because, again, based on when I first heard his streams, he was literally talking about his journey. And so basically he said he was all right with Black women, everything was cool. And then one Black woman, right, the woman he was with, you know, broke his heart, ruined his life, kind of thing, and he was wallowing. And
only
he was
takes
wallowing.
one.
Right, it only takes one, right? He was wallowing, he was taking no accountability.
Go 12, but one guy, it's one woman, and he is ruined for life.
Yes, and so he was wallowing, feeling sorry for himself, letting his life continue to spiral. And he found the Manosphere, which, you know, was a wonderful place for him to, you know, bunker down and say, great, I don't have to take any accountability. I can blame all Black women. And that's what he did, and continued to allow his life to get worse and worse. And then at some point he started questioning, started thinking, actually did a real account of his life to realize that the majority of the love and support and help he had gotten before, during, and after, and to present day, was from Black women.
Never would have made it
without the Black woman. And so then he said, okay, well, let me look at this. And then he started taking accountability. Took accountability for the bad choices he had made, as far as even that woman, the, you know, enabling to get to where he was, the you know, allowing his life to continue to fall apart and to do nothing to improve his life, right? And so he took a lot of accountability and realized, oh, I'd fallen into this because I was running from accountability and responsibility, because somehow or another I basically feminized my mindset into thinking someone should save me. When I'm a man, I should save myself.
Right.
And so basically what he actually wants to do, it's not so much about the Black woman as God, it's about calling out Black men, and calling them out for basically the same mindset he had, for them to see the accountability, even in, well, you don't like what the Black woman has said about this, that, or the next thing, but let's look at all the stuff Black men are really doing out there. Do you think they have a reason to say it? Right? So, you know, on one side, I'm like, yeah, I do think he tends to get a little pandery from time to time. But on the other side, when I look at the overall picture, what I actually think he's trying to accomplish, which is to call out some of the rhetoric that needs a little bit more accountability with Black men. And he's trying to say, like, okay, listen, yeah, that one woman was terrible, but what decisions did you make for you to get here? Could you make better decisions? Should you take some accountability? Should you fix your own stuff? Should you fix your own trauma? Should you build your own life as a man? Or should you sit back and keep blaming women and keep saying that women are the problem when we can't clearly see the connection between women are actually naturally submissive. So if Black men are falling apart, Black women are going to fall apart. So the only way you can get a woman who isn't falling apart is if you're not broken. So fix yourself, right? Like that's the message I got from him. And so to me now, when I heard that, like, even people like yourself, right, y'all didn't know that he regularly would mention stuff that he had even said when he was in the management. That's why I know the whole storyline. He even did like a little documentary basically to explain all of this and to explain, you know, him living in his car, how he got to that position, how he got into the negative mindset he was in, how he healed and got to the place where he is today. And he's, you know, still working on his shit and stuff. But, you know, he actually did do that. Like there's a whole docu-series things he did. Not that long ago.
And that's a good thing, because, and that's one thing that people need to realize is that, you know what, if you don't really sit and, you know, watch a certain content creator's content, you cannot really judge them off of, you know, 15 seconds of a video that has gone viral and is playing over and over. See, with this honest truth guy, my thing is that I don't have negative opinions because I never invested in him. You know, when it comes to YouTube, there are a lot of content creators. You cannot give them all ample time. You just cannot. It's not going to work.
True.
So you watch a couple of videos and you be like, okay. You know, maybe the two that I saw, or where I was injected and was introduced and saw him, I was like, just a little bit too pandering for me. No big deal. Move on to the next, you know, person. And then 8 months later, he's exposed. He's this, he's that. And you'd be like, I don't feel one way or the other because I never invested in the dude.
Well, yeah. I mean, also they're saying he's exposed because of the whole, I guess that ghost face guy.
And that's the whole thing. That's why I'm saying, if you don't sit and watch someone's content, you didn't watch that video where they talked about and they said this and they said that, you know, and you can actually see, you can get a feel for some of the things that, you know, it's being said about them versus what you've actually seen. Cause you've been there, you've been watching them.
Well, what I'm saying is this, okay? So this whole exposed thing, right? This whole road is because this Ghostface Perp guy, the rapper, he made not just a 20-minute video, but then did a live stream afterwards. And especially in the first video, it was just vitriol against Black women, kill, violence, all kinds of terrible stuff against Black women specifically, and then more specifically Cynthia G. And like, oh, the next woman I see, you know, and you guys should do this. Next woman you see, they look at you some way, punch him in the face, and like he was going off. It was actually
that was ridiculous. Yeah.
It was vile. It was vile. Now, the Honest Shoes was the first person to actually address this live and to call it out, and the Ghostface Perp guy showed up on his panel. Now, he is not the one who's the roaster and the attacker and the whatever it is, right? He has more of kind of a like me, right? If someone came on and I think they're absolutely insidious, like you want to talk to Obsidian, I don't want to attack him. I ask him questions. I'll tell him I disagree with him, but I'm not like the attacker kind of person. Neither is the Honest Truth. But because he didn't go on the attack, he made statements, right? I saw that clearly he was trying to get this man to talk and to be like, well, you're saying this, but that's not what you said in your video. Do you understand that calling for violence against all Black women because you're upset is not okay? And so he was, but he wasn't doing it, I guess, aggressively enough. And so then the whole narrative has been, let's expose THT. And what I think is weird about that is that the fact that the Ghostface Perp guy went on like a hour-long tangent, you know, 2 different videos calling for death and violence against Black women somehow got lost in the mix. Like, that's no longer important, right? Let's not call out the man who not only directly called out for violence and death of Cynthia G specifically, right, and doxing and whatnot, but the death and destruction and violence and doxing of every single Black woman out there. Let's not focus on that man at all. That he's barely a footnote in the story right now.
But
let's talk about THT, who's changed his narrative because he realized that his dysfunctional mindset of blaming all Black women for his problems is definitely not masculine and is definitely not functional, is definitely not good. Like, I don't understand.
But where it comes to the Honest Truth, where it comes to him, where I do fault him is that, you know what, you're an up and coming, you know, content creator, and just with the things that, you know, this, you know, space fool was talking, to me, I felt he was being a little bit too mild on the guy, and he was being more of someone that was like, he was a fan of the guy. From the impression I got, he was a fan of this dude's, and I was just like, to me. So for me, the Honest Truth's content is just not my content. He's not my type of dude. I didn't think he handled that guy correctly, but you know what? I never invested in this man. So for him to be coming out and being exposed, my feelings weren't hurt with regards to that.
I understand what you're saying, but here's my issue, right? Fine. You think he went too soft on the guy. Right? Lots of people do. So their response to that is for them to go hard at the Honest Truth. Not for them to go hard at the guy who really is the problem in this situation. Like, we have lost focus. The person who's calling for death and destruction and violence and this and that against Black women is the problem. You don't like the fact that the Honest Truth went too soft on him. And so everyone's response is to go hard at the Honest Truth and dock the Honest Truth and put out the Honest Truth. So wait a minute. How did the Honest Truth become the enemy in this situation? The point is, you don't like the way he didn't address this hard enough, then you're supposed to go harder at it. You don't think that he, you know, this was a pop-up. He didn't expect this guy to show up. He did. He wasn't prepared for it. Fine, whatever. Okay, maybe he was fangirling a little bit. Fine, whatever. I get it. But then,
yeah, he gushed a little bit too much. He gushed a little bit too much, and I was just like, eh.
But my question is, who called for violence and death and destruction against Black women? Because no one knows anything about that guy. It's like that thing never happened. It's like right now, the most criminal thing that has happened in the last couple of weeks is that the Honest Truth is speaking about, you know, pro-Black women stuff right now when he used to be in the manosphere. That is now, he is the new demon. But remember that this all started because the Honest Truth, unlike everyone else in the whole entire space, exposed the Ghostface Perp for specifically calling out Cynthia G by name, but also all Black women, calling for all Black men to attack them and use violence and do all this stuff against Black women. And no one cares about that part. No one is talking about the fact that this rapper went not just for Cynthia G, calling for violence against her, but against all Black women. And no one cares. No one cares because this one YouTuber didn't interview him hard enough. Wait, okay, so, but none of y'all are interviewing him at all. None of y'all are going at him at all. None of y'all are putting him, as in Ghostface Perp, on the spot. None of y'all are doxing Ghostface Perp. None of y'all are calling out Ghostface Perp. Y'all are doxing and calling out the Honest Truth because he didn't go hard enough. at Ghost and
Welcome
Skirt.
to content creating. That's what those are the things you're gonna come up against as a content creator. And the honest truth, he should definitely expect to be criticized for his interview skills. Barbara Walters, she's a goat in the game. She has been, what do you call it? Criticized for her interviewing skills. That's just what it is. It's the nature of the game, and he's got to deal with it.
Okay, Vonda, let me ask you a question. No. I'm taking this all the way out of some third party because you already don't like the honest truth. So I'm gonna put this into direct context of Vonda.
You don't take that
so
back.
Vonda,
you cannot say I do not like him. I don't know that man, but he just does not resonate with me, and that's
right.
just
But that's my point. That's my point. But you keep responding to the fact that he doesn't resonate with you. So you're not catching the issue. So I'm gonna make this more personal. So a rapper, okay, so that means he has a reach of millions, possibly, right? Goes on a tangent, okay? And this rapper, let's call him June, okay? June the rapper, he calls for direct death of Vonda H, okay? Violence against Vonda H. And then, if any black man goes outside and so much as looks at, a black woman and don't like her face, should be stomping on her and showing her violence, okay? This is a 40-minute long rant. He's mentioned your name directly, and all black women, no matter the age, to start violating them, okay? Like even the R word, violating, violence, death, and calls you out by name. You. I'm talking about you, okay? So now, me and Char decide we're going to do a stream about it. Okay. And this guy just pops up and we didn't expect him to come, but he did. Right. And so now neither me nor Char, we're not roasters, right? Like we're going to call you out on what you said. We're going to say, well, hey, you changed your tune, buddy, because you were calling for violence and death and destruction against all black women. Now you're saying that, well, you don't know any black women like that. And the black women, they're cool and they're on code and whatever. So then how are you going to say you're going to walk out your house and next black women, blah, blah, blah? Like, what you did is not cool, right? Like, we will call you out, but we're not going to be roasted and whatever.
Right.
Right? So now you wake up in the morning, Vonda, and finally, okay, the whole entire black YouTube, they hear this. Okay, this guy has called for death against you and your family. You're probably a little bit scared, right? All black women, right? He's a rapper. He's got a reach of millions. And you see every single video is just to drag me and Char for not roasting this guy, for not going hard enough at him. But nobody cares that June the rapper has said that Vonda H, we should do violence and horrible things to Vonda H and to all black women. No one cares about that part. They only care that me and Char didn't roast him hard enough. They don't care what he said about you. For 2 weeks, not one of these people, right? It's like 25, 30 channels. Not one of these channels reviews that video and goes, oh my God, this is disgusting. Vonda doesn't deserve that. That's horrible. Black women should not be, right? No one does that. Every video is a new expose on me and Char and doxing me and Char's name and putting us out in the street and showing how, well, Ruby used to be on BGS's panel. Char used to run BGS's panel. They don't care about black women. The whole entire thing is to expose me and Char, right? But no one cares about June the rapper and exposing June the rapper and doxing June the rapper and getting June the rapper on the hot seat because he's the one who called for death and destruction against you and against all black women. And no one cares.
Now, number one. Now, if you're talking about it's you and Char and we're talking about Vonda, then Char and Ruby and Vonda have a relationship. So I wouldn't expect you guys to be easy with him. With this rapper June. Nor would I expect you to be like, oh, June, I like your records. Yeah, that was a great record that you did. Knowing that he called for me to be death, for my, for all kind of horrible things to happen to me. I feel that you guys would be, in my opinion, I think you would be more defensive. Now, if I'm wrong, correct me right now and tell me I'm wrong. Or are we under the premise? Or are we under the premise that we don't know each other?
No, we know each other. we know each other, but here's the thing. I personally, let's say, right in the situation, I've been following June the Rapper for 5-6 years now. I know his content has always been about pulling the Black community together. I've only ever heard really positive things about his message. So I actually really appreciated his message and his rap and whatever. Until this moment in time when he did this, I had never heard him say anything so destructive and demeaning against anyone in the Black community. In fact, he normally speaks out against stuff like that. So when he comes into the show, I would acknowledge that. I would say, listen, I think you do really good stuff, good music, good content. I think you have a really great message for the Black community. I would probably have started exactly the same way that THT did. So then I would say, so that's why, honestly, I'm gonna be real with you. I was disappointed and confused first when I heard you coming for a Black woman and a specific Black woman who's ever done anything to you in this way. So why are you calling for death and destruction against this woman? Why do you think this is okay all of a sudden? Why do you change your tune all of a sudden? Because I know what you used to say. So, and I know what you've been saying because I was following your career and I actually was a fan. I'll be real. So what the hell happened? Right? Like,
I can respect that, Ruby, only because, you know, you would be someone who actually did follow that person and you knew what they talked about. So you'd be like, okay, so what's all this crazy shit you're talking about, you know, doing this to this Black woman, you know, because you don't like what she said, you know?
Right. But that's what he said. That's literally what THT said. That's why I said I would literally do the same thing he did. Because actually, if you go back and you listen, and even like the people who were coming in and stuff, but if you go back and just look him up, that is what his content is about. That is what his message is about. He actually, as far as even what he said on the Honest Truth stream that day that he popped up, what he was saying about what he actually believes about men and women in the community was really productive. Right. So it was actually literally in stark contrast to what he said in that rant. Like it didn't even connect. It seemed like it was a different person. Like I was trying to look up pictures and compare his eyes to see if it's the same person. Because it's like, yo, this is not the same person who was saying all of that disgusting stuff. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, so when people were saying that, I got that because I'm like, I was listening to what he was actually saying that day. And I'm like, this isn't what you were saying though, bro. And every time someone tries to call you out for what you did say, then you said, I was angry, I was upset, I was hurt, I was mad. And I get that part though. Because if I heard, right, when I heard them calling to abort all Black male babies, I was infuriated, I was disgusted, and I'm not even a Black male, right? So I can imagine being hurt and disgusted and angry and maybe popping off and saying some stuff that you don't necessarily agree in that moment, right? But you still got to be called out for it. You got to be accountable for it. But like, I'm listening to the man's message, and that's not the man's message. Like, that's not what he's always about. You know what I mean?
But see, with that being said, then he has to be, you know, astute enough to, you know, convey that. You know, he is, when there's a great responsibility, and you know this, Ruby, with a content creator. You know, a content creator has a rapport and a relationship, you know, to a point with their subscribers. You know, the things that they say resonate with the people that they're talking to, which is why the people listen to them.
Okay.
You know, so when you're listening to someone over a period of time, you're going to hear something different than someone who's listened to one or two streams.
Right. And I think the thing is, he did this one thing right after he had heard the Cynthia G abort all Black male babies thing. And then and watched that, he heard that, he saw the other Black women inside the stream saying, yeah, we should do that. Black males don't deserve to be born and stuff. Well, you know, in response, in retaliation, when you say stuff that you don't really mean, because honestly, there's someone who's very calmly and rationally over and over again repeating something they seem to very much mean, which is like the extinction of the Black male baby. I mean, that is a really disgusting, treacherous message. So I understand saying something really disgusting and treacherous because honestly, our community lacks emotional regulation and self-control. And I think that that's what happened. And I think that there was a level of confusion because I was confused too. This man came in, you don't expect him to come in. He just called into your show, right? And then now he's there and he's literally saying everything you agree with and everything you believe, everything. And you're like, wait, but that's not what you said. right? Like, so you said that, and he said it. This is the problem. He said it. He said, I was angry. Yeah, no, I was running my mouth. I was angry. I said a bunch of stuff I did not mean. Yep. No, you're right. I shouldn't have said it. Like, how do you argue at that point? You're gonna keep saying, "Well, you should have said it," and he says, "I know, I shouldn't have." Well, what are you supposed to do at that point? He is literally telling you what he actually thinks and what he actually believes. You agree with what he actually thinks and what he actually believes. He told you, I think what I said is wrong. I shouldn't have said it. I was popping off and I was emotional. Yeah, men shouldn't lose their emotional control like that. He's agreeing. What do you do at that point? Right? So, like, if he came and he said, I would have hold him accountable. I would have probably asked a few more questions. I'll be real with you. But, like, I probably would have made a lot of the observations that the honest truth did, which is, bro, if this is what you had said to begin with, we wouldn't be having this discussion, because this is good. What you're saying now is good. It's productive. It's good for the community. It's good for black men and black women in hair, right? So, like, I would have said, like, yo, you need to work on this. You need to maybe go get some therapy and work on, how to control your emotions. Because, yeah, I agree with you. What she said was disgusting. What she said was disgusting. It was unforgivable. I understand. But, you have influence and you have power, so you can't say stuff like that, because young black males who are also hurt and upset and whatever, they're going to respond, and they're not going to just take this as you're just saying words because you're angry today, right? So, it's like on one side I get it, but on the other side, and this is why I'm saying, like, even if you don't take it the way I just said it now, do we not understand that the real person that should be being torn apart and being analyzed from every angle and level is, in our thing, June the rapper, or in the real world, Ghostface Perp, or whatever his name is. But, like, who is the real problem? The problem is the person who went on the 40-minute rant and tangent, and then all of a sudden, when he's confronted directly, doesn't say none of that. That's the real problem. That's the real issue. That's the person we should be tearing apart, not the interviewer. Like, how are we tearing apart the interviewer? We shouldn't be. My point is not that we shouldn't criticize the way he interviewed. Sure, criticize that. That gets a footnote.
Well, don't you think that's what it was, though? I mean, mostly that's what it was. Is it's criticizing, the way that he handled this guy. A lot of people felt that they would have handled it different. He didn't handle it correctly. And you're going to get that. You're going to get that anywhere. You're going to get that anywhere.
Right. But no one is handling the guy differently. Everyone is doing streams talk about how they would have handled the guy differently. They would have handled the topic differently. No one is actually handling the topic, though. You see what I'm saying? Like, no one is addressing the topic. Everyone is just addressing the honest truth and saying you didn't handle the topic right, but no one is handling the topic.
That's where the focus is.
The topic.
Yeah, that's where the focus is,
But do you see what I'm saying? At least he handled the topic at all. Y'all are handling him for not handling the topic the way you would have, but none of y'all are approaching the topic. So only one person in this scenario, to me, is actually on the right side, because only one person addressed this video and broke it down and said, this is disgusting, this is vile, this shouldn't be happening. Because he did. It was a 2-hour-long stream. This guy showed up. Ghostface Perp showed up in the last, like, half an hour, right? But before that, he played the video piece by piece. He paused. Like, it was hard to listen to. He addressed it, right? He's the only one who did. Everyone else is just addressing him. No one is addressing the guy who really said the bad stuff. Like, so to me, if anything, all of them are proving they're hypocrites. Because if he didn't handle it right, and they're just running away from handling it at all, then who's worse?
And I had a lot of questions, Vonda, so I definitely had your back. I would have had a lot of questions. What's with Vonda H? Why her? Do you know her? Have you met her? Do you know her family?
Right.
Are you in the same city? So destroying her would mean what for you? You will sleep better. Your family will have an inheritance. I mean, why? What was that all about?
Right. Yeah. And he said it. It was about the aborting black male babies thing. And this is what I said. I'm like, y'all, as women, we know we have absolutely said a lot of horrific things when we're very triggered and emotional and hurt. And a black man says something terrible about black women. We say bad things in return. We know we do. Okay, it's something in the black community we do. Right. And I'm telling you, I've not heard a message that personally hurts and offends me more than
Mhm.
this abort black male babies thing. I really haven't. I honestly, it makes me infuriated and disgusted at our community and at the place that we're going. It does, right? And like I said, I'm not even a black male, so I can't even imagine what it would feel like to be a black man who's just trying to do what you're
Well,
doing. You're supporting your community. You're supporting the women in your community. You love the women in the community. Y'all are good, and then you get onto the internet and you hear what you think, right? Because this is how he's seeing it. He's basically like a cult leader who's trying to recruit a bunch of black women to extinguish the black male, but in essence, extinguish the black race. Like that's what he's hearing a call for. Like, and again, I am not saying that what
and
he
I
did was
hope
right,
all the children
but
that he has, if he has any kids, he's taking care of every single one of them, and they don't want for anything. The
mm-hmm,
fact of the matter is, there are a lot of black children out there who don't have a mother or a father. So
mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, what is the solution going to be? Is it to, abort black male babies? Or is it to, what, don't have any babies because we're not doing a good job with the ones we have here right now? Or is it what is the answer? Nobody's going to be
But
happy
but
with
Vonda,
whatever, nobody's going to be happy with any suggestion that's made.
no, 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 no,
But at
because
the end of
Vonda,
the
that's not the
day,
problem.
what
No, no, no,
no, the problem is the state of the solution. I mean, the state of the community right now. Why would someone even say that? Where would that come from? That
because
didn't
they are
just come out
literally
of thin
saying
air. And it's
no.
not coming from a deep, dark, and evil place of a person who hates men. It's coming from, look at the state of the community. What
Right,
do
it's
you
coming
do with
from the
the children
racist.
that are in the
No,
community right now? What do you do with them?
but here's the thing, it's coming from a racist narrative that says that black boys are born inherently evil and inherently bad. And that is literal bullshit. So by perpetuating this narrative that black boys are born violent and born evil and born bad, they are genetically defective. So you abort them and you're going to solve the community. That is my problem. You're not understanding. They're not saying, man, stop having babies right now. They are saying black boys are literally, they have defective genetics that makes them violent, makes them grow up to be predatory and to hurt black women. And so we should abort them before that they can grow up and do that. But here's the thing. No, black people are not born with some inherent defective genes. The problem is that people are not raising their children. People are not rearing their children and forming their children correctly, whether it's boys or girls. And so what we have then is a bunch of children who are trying to raise themselves and being raised by the streets and being raised in trauma, right? And then we're expecting them to be different. No, you know what? The problem is all these women running around saying, well, I'm going to abort. But, the problem is y'all need to raise your goddamn children properly. Y'all need to be invested in your children's lives. Y'all need to fix the environment under which you are raising your children, because children are not born inherently bad. Children are not born inherently violent. Children are not born inherently evil. And so when I hear black people, period, when I hear black women say and buy into that narrative that black boys are born inherently bad, inherently violent, inherently evil. If a black boy is born, he is going to grow up and hurt black women. Right? That is the narrative that is justifying these cops looking at our 8-year-olds and our 7-year-old boys as adult
Yeah.
violent predators and shooting them on sight. We have to understand what the suggestion is that they are saying and how wrong it is and how it's not a solution, because the solution is not getting rid of some genetic flaw, because we're not genetically flawed. Our children are growing up and being dysfunctional because they aren't being raised, because they are being bred to be dysfunctional. So whose fault is that? That is the parents' fault, because they aren't raising their children right, because they aren't giving their children a safe, secure environment, because they aren't giving their children an environment where they can grow and thrive and become productive, functional members of society. That's on the parents, it's not on the children.
I agree with that. But the thing that I'm trying to open up is that, you know what, you can sit there and you can understand why, Space Perp can say the things that he say, but it's hard to understand why the woman who said what she said as far as black male boys, why would she say that? Where is that perspective coming from?
It's coming from the racist narrative that says that Black people are born genetically, inherently inferior, evil, dysfunctional. Like literally, that's where it's coming from. That is the only narrative. Because otherwise, you understand that children are born, and yes, they have nature and nurture, but ultimately, right, except for the 1% of children across the board who are born sociopaths, everybody else is conditioned to become who they are. And so in and of itself, if your children are all murderers and evil and manipulative, it's because you made them that way. So what you need to do is recognize that you failed in parenting. You failed in providing your children a safe environment for them to grow and to thrive. That is on the parents. That is not on the children, because children are not born inherently bad or inherently evil. You created the monster.
I absolutely agree with that. I don't feel like children are inherently born evil. I don't agree with that at all. I don't
Yeah,
agree with
and
that at
Right.
all.
what's sad is that people of the dominant society, they hear these streams that people are having, and just going to continue to use it against us.
Mm-hmm. Right. And this is the problem. We can't buy into these narratives because the narrative in and of itself doesn't actually solve the problem. Okay. Buying into a racist narrative against us isn't going to solve the problem, because guess what we're gonna do? Then we're gonna abort Black male boys, right? And then have a bunch of Black girls that we're still not raising, that we are still not conditioning to be productive, functional members of society. They're still going to be just dysfunctional, just still going to be just as traumatized. They're just going to go and look for that trauma, to engage in that trauma and that negative codependency with other races of boys then. Because at the end of the day, you're still going to look for a boy, because we're human beings, and our number one thing is to survive and reproduce. So we're going to do it regardless. And see, the thing is that if you're not raising your children, so they're just balls of dysfunction and trauma, then they're going to go and they're going to get that from wherever they can get it from, right? So the problem is still going to exist, because what they're trying to do in essence is to put the blame on the baby, put the blame on the child who's growing up and being dysfunctional. No, the blame is on the parents, right? These people need to stop having children that they don't want to raise, keeping children that they don't want to raise, raising children in these dysfunctional ways, loading them up with trauma, doing absolutely nothing to help them with the trauma, with, I don't know, putting them into therapy, getting them some tutors, putting them into extracurricular activities for their benefit. This is on the parents. And they're
Okay,
trying
now,
to pass the buck.
okay, now Emmanuel Briggs, this is a comment he made, and I agree with him on this. The Black fathers of these children also need to be invested in their children's lives and raising them also. If that was being done, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I understand. I agree with you, Ruby. It is the parents. It is the parents. But a lot of times you don't have both parents involved. So then we go to what parents are not involved, and how do we work on that? What's going on with that?
Yeah, everyone needs to bite the bullet, because here's the thing. All of the people who are at the age right now to have children, the 70 to 80% of them were born and bred and raised in dysfunction, with dysfunctional mindsets and dysfunctional attitudes towards themselves, towards each other, towards relationships, towards marriage, towards family. Okay. And the only thing that they can do is bite the bullet and go against what they've been trained in, so they can train their children differently. That's it. Because that's ultimately what it comes down to, right? Every child who is over the age of 11 right now, their life strategy cycle has already been set in stone. It's already ingrained. They're already going down that path. That means everyone over the age of 11 right now, we can't change the way that their brain is programmed to go forward. Right. So the younger children, we can kind of save them. We can move them to a different environment, move them to a different, and just magically overnight. And yes, they are going to adapt to that new environment. But the kids who are already set in stone, they're going to keep going down that dysfunctional path. So what do we need to do? We need therapy. We need group sessions. We need leadership activities and camps and stuff like that. What we need to do is invest time and energy into the children. You don't need to provide more money for them. You need to be more accessible to them. You need to be invested in their future. You need to look at the fact that they feel insecure, that they feel unloved, that they feel invisible, that they feel stupid, that they feel all these negative things, right? And you need to invest the time and energy into fix that. right? It's coming from the parents. And yes, it is both parents. And so, hey, guess what? Your man hurt your feelings, your woman ain't shit, whatever it is, I don't care. Y'all need to get over yourselves, right? Both men and women, you need to get over yourselves and put the child above yourself, right? And that's for both sides. Because yes, there are men who are desperately wanting to be in their children's lives right now, and women are holding them out, right? And those women ain't shit and they need to get over themselves, right? But there is also the other way where men are walking away from responsibility. They're walking away from a dysfunctional, crazy woman and abandoning their child within a dysfunctional, crazy woman, right? Like, no, none of these are good things, but the reason why they're happening is because the adult is putting themselves above the child. And you don't have the right to do that because you decided to engage in adult activities that you knew could create a child. Now they did. It's on you. So you got to start putting that kid first, put that kid's welfare first, and put yourself second. Whatever it is, whatever part of your pride and your ego you need to swallow so you can be there for your children and be fully invested in your children in the way that they need. You need to do that. Like, period, point blank, both sides. You need to give. Women, you can't demand, well, you can't be with a new woman if you want to be with your kid. No, you can't do that. Y'all ain't together. Y'all ain't together. Get over yourself, right?
Welcome, Edward Hurricane. How are you? Hope you had a good
Hey,
birthday.
Hello.
Hurricane Edward, what's up?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm officially a young old nigga now, I guess.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I
Crazy.
normally end it early, but go ahead. I'll stay up a little bit. Go ahead.
Oh no,
Woo.
I hate doing that. Coming in at the last minute, especially when people know my reputation as far. But because I actually kind of came through and I heard abort black male babies, so I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, this is gonna be an interesting conversation coming from like the panelists that we have up here. I'll add this to it. You got the outrage is definitely understandable about something like that, but with me, even though sometimes I can have my moments, I'll take a deep breath and say, okay, where's the logic in this? So my thing that I didn't understand is why not just stop having sex with black men? You see, when you say in order to abort black male babies, you have to have black male sperm. So my first thought is, are you really saying, not you, but I mean a person that
Hmm.
said that, are you really saying that black women have so low sexual discipline that no, we're gonna keep the black male penis, but we're just gonna artificially choose who gets born and doesn't get born? That makes no sense to me. It's like, yo, if you feel that way about black men, we can argue the merits of the why and the BS in that, and whether it's valid or not valid. People can argue that, but at the end of the day, why are you dating black men if you feel that way? I'm saying for anybody that would say it or anybody that would listen to that, like, why are you dealing? Why are you dating black men? Um, like that's the question I would ask any woman, because in my opinion, I literally promote on my channel that you should pick the best person regardless of race. And I mean that for the women in particular. If you believe that black men, if you listen to commentary that black men are dusty, black men don't build, black men are fill in the blank what they don't do, you saying that ain't gonna make black men change, because that's been said for decades now. So
Mm-hmm.
instead, so my thing is, have you explored your options now? In particular, to the woman that actually said that, I don't know if that's the person you're talking about, the main person that said that, but her whole family is married out. Like, I think all of her siblings are with now. Part of that is her location. She's not in a location where there's a lot of black people. To be completely fair with that, but yeah, they all married out. So my question is, why is it that folks are so focused on what black men do and not focused on doing the best that you can for yourself? I just don't understand that, because when you get to the point where you're saying we need to abort black male babies, that you're saying that as if, well, that's a way forward for the community. All you're doing is you're going to create a situation where there's no mates for these females. If you're gonna do that, you might as well just say we're gonna date out. We're gonna do what Tasha K did and get you a African dude. Do the intercultural dating thing. I mean, there's ways to remove black men from the equation without, and then and so when you apply that logic there, And then you look at it like you're literally targeting unborn children
Mm-hmm.
because of how you feel about what an adult male did.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you like? And so
Mm-hmm.
with that logic, that's kind of that's some my comp shit. If y'all know, that's the book that Hitler wrote as far as talking about my struggle. Like, straight up. There is no way around that. There is no, oh, well, we need to understand. And if somebody needs to understand this. Her daddy was a crackhead. And she never got over that. That's really what a lot of that comes to. That's her villain origin story. So and boo-hoo. We all have, a lot of us have family members that suffer from drugs and stuff like that, male and
Mm-hmm.
female alike. So, boo-hoo. I mean, don't even get me started on some of these stories that's starting to circle around with boys living with dead bodies, for a year and stuff. And then people, don't even get me started on it. So the point is, black boys don't have this anyway. My point is this: at the end of the day, even if you look at this from a logical standpoint, it makes no sense. Also, last thing I'm gonna say, there's a woman by the name of Chess, really smart woman. She's got a newer channel. She said something that I didn't think about. This is a few times that a woman's perspective and say, okay, I'm gonna charge that to a woman's perspective because I wouldn't have thought of this. She talks about abortion is not a flawless thing for women. If you're using abortion as like a birth control method, oh, I don't want this. I don't want this. I want that. And then you're having abortions because of that. Because it's not like, you're early in your pregnancy by the time you understand like what sex the kid is going to be. That is affecting you physically, and that could potentially affect your ability to have children down the road. I mean, so you're actually harming yourself. So for what? And that's a perspective I wouldn't even thought about that unless you brought it up. So anyway, that's my purpose with that.
Well, yeah, and I mean, obviously, I agree with you, right? I will say that at the end of the day, and I don't really care whether it's the originator of this message or anyone else who agrees with it. They
Yeah,
look at what some adult black male does and go, "See, well, why do these men deserve sons?" No, first of all, why are you sleeping with these men? Then,
exactly.
as you said, this makes no sense at all. They don't deserve children. You want to say that I won't sleep with you because you don't deserve children. You personally don't deserve children. But no, you want to remove sons, boys, from the equation because why do they deserve sons? Because they're going to grow up and be like that. Well, if they grow up and they be that murderous or dysfunctional dude, it's because you raised them to be that way. So again, this is a failure on your part as a parent and on the father as a parent. This is not a
Yeah.
failure on the child in some genetic way. And so to me, like I said, it just you're buying in to racist narratives against yourself, which tells me there's a lot of self-hate and a lot of other issues you need to work through
Yeah.
in therapy. Because in essence, and I'm just gonna say this, I've always said this, I've never had a problem ever in my life naturally just attracting dudes who are about something and who are worth something ever in my life. Never had that issue. Right. So the reason why a lot of people have this issue where they think all black women ain't shit or all black men ain't shit has a lot to do with themselves and the energy they're putting out. So the energy that they're pulling back in. And so basically, water seeks its own level. So if
Not
you are
you.
dysfunctional and traumatized, you are going to find someone who is let's say complementary to your dysfunction and trauma. You are not going to find, for the most part, someone who's whole and healthy and functional and ready to go when you are actually
I can
not.
definitely agree with that, Ruby. Water's going to seek its own level, but you know what? I've not had any problem attracting a fucked up dysfunctional person. I've not had any problem attracting a decent person. It is a roll of the dice when you're dealing with human beings. You have no freaking clue what the hell you're going to get.
Not
You
really.
know,
That's not true at all.
No, but here's the thing, though. You do. Here's the thing.
you
See
know
what you
what?
just said? You
Not
said you had
always.
no problem. You
Not
said you had
always.
no. You said you
It
had
can go
no
either
problem.
way a
Hold on,
lot
hold
of
on,
times.
hold on. You said you had no problem attracting eight shit dudes, but you also decent dudes, which means you've never had the opinion that all men ain't shit because you attract both. right?
Exactly. So you have to use your discernment.
Right.
You have to
Right. But
use
here's my
your
thing.
discernment.
My problem is, and here's the thing. I believe that there are people out there who really believe that all men ain't shit or that all women ain't shit because literally that is the only thing they bring into their lives. The only
Well,
thing they attract, and it's the only thing they're attracted to. And see, now here's the
yeah,
problem is again,
that's a big point. What you just said,
right.
they
It's
are
what
they're imprinted, and that goes for men and women. Go ahead.
but it's not just an imprint. Hold on. It's not just an imprint. Like I said, water seeks its own level. So when I, for example, right? So when I was an alcoholic, right? I'm sure lots of people who were not into the party lifestyle were attracted to me, but I was attracted to someone who would fund my party lifestyle, right? Why? Because that's where I was at, right? But there's a lot of dysfunction that comes with a party lifestyle, right? And wanting to live a particular lifestyle, but that's where I was at. So that's what I attracted in, but that's also what I was attracted to. Right. So now I want to get healthy and whole and whatever. I want to fix myself. But hey, guess what? Buddy that I met over here, well, he's still in the party. Right. He doesn't want to fix himself. He's good. He likes his life. Right. Now I'm gonna call him ain't shit. No, I literally found my own level at that moment. Right. So I'm ready to move up, move forward, whatever he doesn't want to go that way. Okay, well, I guess it's time for me to be single and for me to be out there and for me to be
Yeah.
looking for my level again, because I have gone through a change. I have resolved some stuff in my life. I've resolved some trauma that kept me wanting to drink away my life and whatever. I'm in a different place now. And so, hey, guess what? I'm still going to attract people who are part of the party lifestyle because I still got a little edge on me. But I'm also going to attract guys who are about something else, who are homebodies, who are this, who are that. Right. And what I'm going to be attracted to is now different. But my point is that I'm not just attracting just a whole bunch of ain't shitness that's going to fool me. That's going to this. I'm not only attracting that, which is why I've never believed that all black men ain't shit, because I will attract in good men for me to know that there are good men out there.
But Ruby, that's still a deceit, and this is the rub. The thing that you said but didn't say, that's a decision. Now, how you may come to that decision in time. It may take time. That's a decision. And I've actually read, like, one of my guys that I read a lot about is named Jeffrey Combs. White guy, he talks about addiction and stuff. He actually written books about procrastination, stuff like that, and alcohol was one. He's a sales guy, so he's talked a lot about that. And what he shows is that stuff. It's not like one single decision. It's a lot of multiple decisions, and who your social circle is around has to do with your environment. That's true for losing weight. That's true for a lot of things. It's true for a lot of things, and the problem is women. This is the issue women have. The entire society is financially incentivized to not really hold you accountable because their goal is to get something out of you, whether it's money, whether it's attention, as far as advertising. So it's against their best interest to make you change.
You know what?
So yeah, it is. I mean, if you look at anything in mainstream media, what is it in mainstream media that's really saying, like, some of the stuff that you hear in certain sectors of YouTube? Like, when it comes to women, regardless of race, it's always an excuse. It's always something else. It's always this. My point is, go ahead.
I'm just saying, it did not take you very long to come up here and tell us what women needed to be doing.
I didn't. When did I say what women need to be doing?
Okay,
when did I say
maybe
that?
you didn't say need to be doing, but it was something about women.
Well, the conversation is about women talking about abort black male babies. What I find interesting is you only have a problem with what folks are doing when I'm saying it. And you've been in a 2-hour conversation where I know how Char and Ruby get down. So I know they hold women accountable to a certain extent too. So what is it about me the way you want to play the gender game?
No, she's had a problem with lots of things I said. Let's not be unfair here.
Okay, well, my thing is you like where am I not accurate in what I'm saying?
When did I say you weren't accurate?
Okay, so what's the point of you even bringing that up?
Go ahead and finish your point.
Because number one, my point is I'm talking about the environment that basically harms women in the long term. Because ultimately, once a woman doesn't have her sexual marketplace value, this same environment, aka the great society, changes.
Marketplace value?
Yes. Because yes. I mean, okay, so we're gonna play like folks don't know water's wet, then we look, come on. Dudes are not coming up to women because of their character. Anyway. Let me get back to what I was saying. Like I was saying, The
Okay,
advertising and
I'm listening.
marketing environment is in social media, mainstream media basically says it's not your fault because what their job is to extract revenue from females, aka putting them in a buying state to tell them what they want to hear. This is where women have been elevated more in the workplace and stuff. It's basically like a revenue exchange. So if you say something, this is how men address women too. Men are really not going to tell women anything that's going to get in front of them getting sex or getting in front of them getting money from them. So they have no incentive to really tell women the truth because women are not interested in the truth. This is why, for the most part, you're seeing a lot of these female dating coaches coming out in their frustration, like over and over and over again. And now going back to my other point I was actually going to make was when you look at, for instance, black men. Let's take PJ Tucker. Let's take Will Smith. Will Smith right now is clearly dealing with a toxic female. He knew she, and here's the thing about Jada. Jada has been transparent the whole time. She's been very transparent how she feels about Tupac before they got together, when they were together, when they got married. Will the whole time is believed that his manhood can change. And the point changed her. The point where Ruby was saying was it's on her to change. And then the people that she get is going to be reflective of that change. What men tend to mess up is men believe they can change a female. You can't really change a female's nature. Only she really can change that. That's a delusion. That's and you see Will at his age, as long as he's been with Jada, and you also saw the same thing with PJ Tucker in a more goofy, younger mindset with a female like Brittany Winter, who also was very transparent in how she got down. You know,
Okay, but here's the thing,
Very.
and I'm sorry, but first of all, I think like we've really gone way left from the topic. But also, since we're here, I'm going to address something because I heavily disagree with the way a lot of things that Jada has said lately have been taken by Black men. Because here's the thing: women being honest and open about their experiences as women is being automatically taken as an attack against Will and his masculinity or manhood, but actually has nothing to do with Will. And like, for example, the discussion that they had with Gwyneth Paltrow about sex and love and goop. Right now, I watched Goop, the Goop Sex and Love. So I actually have a very clear understanding that everybody in the Goop Sex and Love, they've been in long-term relationships, they're very much in love. They're not attacking each other saying, oh, my man's dick game ain't good, oh my girl's walls ain't tight. It has nothing to do with that at all. It actually has to do with a woman not being aware of her own body and her own sexuality, and not actually being aware because she was never taught that sex has anything to do with her, and that she should be an active participant in changing certain dynamics to try to change something that she doesn't understand she can attain. And a lot of women, especially from, say, my generation and older, right? We have no concept about a lot of things that we start learning or we start thinking about after we're in our 30s and our bodies are finally in a sexual peak. And so we go, oh, wait, maybe there's more to this, right? So when she's talking about things, she's not talking about Will failing to do something or Will's dick game not being good or whatever. It has to do with her not understanding her own sexuality. It's not an attack against Will, right? Her actually saying that she came to these realizations and had these discussions and then was open with her husband and talked about these things and addressed these things for the first time in her life, right? She's talking about these things so openly and in a positive way because he reacted in a positive way and was able to give that to her, so
yeah.
she was able to elevate her sexual experience. This is something that you saw on Goop Sex and Love from both the men and the women. There was one dude, he literally had tears running down his face. He had no idea that sex and orgasm and all those things could feel the way that they felt, the intensity and the longevity. He was still feeling it while he was having this after interview. So what I'm saying is, a lot of people are taking a lot of things that Jada is saying out of context, and then they're using it as a weapon against Will, even though she's not saying it to be a weapon against Will.
Yeah, but that's going. I know what's called trying to end the show, so that can go because I don't agree with that. But I get where you're coming from. But they're too old to not understand like how that's gonna come off. And one thing I will say is, you notice she's never directing like what she don't know as a result of her upbringing. Everything that it's a lot of stuff that she's skipping out on that.
No, she actually literally did say that.
she wants out of the marriage, and
yeah.
That's all it is. She wants to make it so painful that he's gonna let her go. And that's
And
all
Love
it
sex
is.
abuse. They were talking about it. They literally actually did say, no, these are things I didn't know. These are things my mother didn't know. The mother said I didn't know it and I didn't tell her. So yeah, they actually were talking about
She
how it was their own
she
individual failures and it was the
she
women's failure.
yeah, after 20, well, they've known each other since 1992. After 27 years of knowing each other, and as intimate as they've been in the crowd that they run in, they know each other. They
It's
know
not
each
about
other's
knowing each
secrets, all
other.
that kind
It's
of stuff.
about women knowing
she
themselves.
yeah, but Jada's not
she
qualified.
wants the
No.
same thing I would if it was on the opposite end and Will was saying the same shit about Jada. Some dude, why don't you just get out the marriage because you don't want to be in that marriage.
Yeah.
Stop trying to drag her name through the mud and all this kind of stuff. And just in the marriage.
But that's not
Will
dragging his name through the mud.
she basically she's dragging his name through the mud. She's
I
causing
mean,
all this
He's
you
problem
not. Y'all
because
look,
just
look,
put
he
to
won't
that. That's
he
not what she
won't let
said.
he won't let her go.
Ruby,
So Will should just let her get out of the
I'm
marriage. She
That's
wants out
like,
of
not
the
what they
marriage.
said. That's not what any
I
those
it
women were having a
I
discussion between
understand.
women about women for
Understand.
women about women's
Under,
sexuality, about women's experiences, and somehow y'all
I,
turned that into
I,
attack against the man.
no,
It's crazy.
it's I
Like what?
understand. But thing
You
is,
don't, because you're not a woman.
it doesn't matter. Talk about
It
being a human
does.
being. It's talk
No,
about being a
it
human being.
matters.
It does. It's talk about being a human being. Okay.
No,
Yes, it
no,
does. Yes, it
no,
does.
no.
I would
It's
say the
not.
same thing about a guy. You've seen married couples for a long, long time, and you know when they start saying stuff like that and backbiting each other, they want out of the marriage. That's all it
Except for
is.
the thing is, though, is that the discussion that all those women were having,
Uh
right?
huh.
And I'm talking about that was a particular discussion that included Gwyneth Paltrow and Jada's mom and Jada's daughter, right?
Mhm.
And they were talking about group sex and love. Have you
Mhm.
seen group sex and love? Like, have you actually watched the series?
I mean, you're
Because
talking.
everyone,
I'm talking about Jada's
They
entire.
they
I'm
they
not
no, no,
talking
no.
about
they
But
one
here's
they
the thing.
they
episode.
Here's the thing, though.
okay, they have been Jada and Will have been swingers in L.A.
Wait,
since the 80s. Okay.
did you see the series or not?
I didn't see it, but I'm saying is
Okay, good. So
I made a video.
hold on,
I made a
hold on.
video.
But you're not going to talk about the
Okay,
series. But the
okay,
discussion was
no,
about the series.
okay.
That's one episode.
That's one
Right, but so
episode.
that's what I'm talking about, though, right? And
But
so,
but
and
that's not.
what I'm
Hold on. But the
referring,
commentary. But hold on. The commentary. Jada's like Boyce Watkins. It ain't like one episode. It's a whole
no,
thing
it's
that
not.
people are
But
talking about.
this one
Okay.
episode, in and of itself, that has been
Mhm.
taken so out of
But
context and
that's
spread around the internet as her attacking Will and Will's dick game and whatever, right? Because
Yeah.
that's
watching
okay. That's not
reviews
what
of
I'm
people
talking
saying
about,
that.
though. That's
Okay,
Okay.
not
that's
what
what I'm
I'm talking.
talking
That's
about,
like the that.
right?
Hold
Okay.
on. Okay.
I'll
Time out.
give.
Time out. Because I'm because
Okay.
Char
No,
is trying to.
I was gonna say.
Char
I
is
said
about
I'll
to
give.
end this, and I'm about to do a stream.
Okay.
That's what I was saying.
I said I'll give you an example where I really knew that Jada really wanted out of the marriage. This is when Will actually was building that house. They actually talked about it on the red table, right? Will was on top of his game. Money was coming in. They was building a whole new house. They were building a whole new set, and she was in her bedroom crying. Okay. She in her bedroom crying
Yeah,
because
and so
she has to she has to keep up this facade of this happy marriage between Will and Jada for the press because it's a brand. She wanted out of the marriage then.
yeah, and by the way, and real quick, because
Hmm.
I'm about to, because I know Char is trying to end it,
Yeah,
so I'm about to do a stream on my stuff.
yeah,
But so I'll drop the link.
yeah,
But I
yeah.
do want to say this to close this video out on the original topic,
Hmm.
and I'm gonna be straight up about this. People, I am a where the cards fall where they may type of person. Just like with Will and PJ, I hold dudes accountable for tolerating shit they quite
Hmm.
frankly should not tolerate because
Yeah.
that also is what has a lot of this stuff going on too, where dudes just think, they can just endure it rather than really communicating. And when I say communicating, I'm talking about with action. With females saying, look, you want to do that, you're going to do that on your own. It doesn't matter what the women say about how they respond to it. At the end
Hmm.
of the day, the greatest power a man has is his power of choice. And
Yeah.
when dudes sit there and they tolerate stuff because
Hmm.
of whatever reason they want to say, that's when you start getting women spinning off of orbit talking about abort black male babies and stuff. You wouldn't hear that in no other group because women like that would just be straight up phased out. That's just straight up. And the women that say it, the women that agree with it, they would be phased out regard. And that includes the diaspora. Not even like, let's not even take other races into it. So this idea about, well, you blaming women, look, man, let's be clear here. The women have custody of the kids. The women have the state behind that custody.
Yeah,
That is a fact. So when people try to sit here and say, like, let's take I know, Ruby, you brought this up, and I get what you're saying. But let's say, because I know I've had this conversation with dudes where, like, for example, let's say dude goes to court and he wins in court, or he gets his way, what he needs to do to like have custody, and then the women say, "F it, I'm leaving the state." And then the dude says, "You know what? When this chick gets older, when the kid gets older, I got the receipts. I'm not doing that." That's not the same as like females using the state against men. Men don't do that. So again, the reason why the women are, and like Shahrazad Ali said, like she said, she ain't the greatest fan of the manosphere. She said the black woman has never been examined. That is a fact. Now, I know that's inconvenient to today's conversation with some women because they want to make it like it's a 50-50 thing, but it's not. And so my thing that I often say is, it's like this. If a woman tells me niggas ain't shit, I say, you know what, then have you explored your options? Why are you only dating black men? Because here's the thing, the black men that you're sexually attracted to,
because they have explored their options, and those are their options.
Yeah, the black men that they're sexually attracted to, they are not going to change because you saying niggas ain't shit, because they know they have the leverage. So, this is where all it is. Hold on, because this is where you get to all this anger.
You've been talking for like 6 minutes.
Abort black male.
Actually,
it's like 3.
You have to put a pause.
But go ahead. I said what I needed to say.
Okay. So here's the thing, right? And this is part of a generalized issue by women for women. Whereas in part of examining the black women right now, and men are going to examine the black women the way men are going to, right? Which is really honestly from the outside looking in, right? And in a direct way is how it impacts them, or maybe their children, their family structures, whatever, right? That is what men are going to do.
We grow up with you all.
That's true.
But go ahead.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay. So women are also going to need to analyze women in that way, but there's an extra way women need to analyze women that men cannot do. Right? And it's not for women, for men, which is for them to analyze themselves internally and sociologically as women, as a group, as a structure, as going from generation to generation. What things that are functional or dysfunctional are passed down from woman to woman? What things should we know about ourselves that we don't know about ourselves? Because the thing is, as much as men, and I understand that men can't relate to the generalized concept of women literally not understanding their own bodies and not understanding their own sex and sexuality, really not understanding it, having no connection to it, not even understanding literally the physical structure of their own genitalia.
Why is that?
It's not about, I'm not blaming men. What I am saying, right, and here's the thing, because I understand that anytime women talk about stuff, they want to blame men. I'm not blaming men. What I'm saying is there's a generational issue, not only from woman to woman, right? But just generally sociologically, well, we've never really focused on these things. Women need to focus on these things, though, because they are part of the reason why women are failing in marriages and failing as wives and failing as friends and mothers and whatever, right? Is literally not having being in touch with themselves, not being in touch with their sex or sexuality, not understanding the fact that, for example, they're supposed to open their mouths and ask for things. That husbands literally cannot read your mind. Men can literally not read your mind. This is such a pervasive issue that it comes up all the time, and yet somehow or another, especially when it comes to sex and sexuality, women think that somehow or another, like men should just magically know what's going to please them, and when they don't, well, then his deep
amongst other things.
Yeah.
Amongst other things.
But here's the thing. That's actually not accurate, right?
It is.
It's actually not accurate at all that a man should just magically read your mind.
Ruby, slow down, because you putting like 50 million concepts and people are having trouble following. So if you're going to we got to go from subject to subject.
The problem, Ruby, is
slow down, Ruby. Slow down.
The problem is women refuse to do what you're talking about, and they actually attack. Now, don't fuck the men.
Right.
Oh my God.
They attack the women. They attack. They attack other women.
Let Rhonda get in.
Please stop.
Go ahead.
I am just so sick of hearing what he's talking about, what women are doing wrong and what they're refusing to do. Women are not in the damn community by themselves. Men are there too. So you mean to tell me why women are there running amok as the narrative is spun? Men are just sitting there watching it happen with their hands up
Vaughn,
like,
Wait,
Ruby.
okay,
Vonda,
what
he
can
was
we do?
responding to what Ruby was
Yeah,
saying. He
Ruby
No, I
wasn't
didn't
just
saying
even
said.
that. That's what he
defend
was
what
No,
I'm
responding to.
saying.
I'm just talking about because I've been on this panel with this dude for quite some time, and that has been the narrative spun from him every time he opens his mouth. That's all I'm saying.
Right. And like I didn't
So,
even get
so
to
you feel some
finish
type
my
of way
point.
about anything I say? Go
But I
ahead. I
know
mean,
I
so
didn't get to finish my point at
I'm
all,
not
right?
talking
Because you
about you,
interrupted.
Ruby. I'm not
No,
talking about you,
but my
Ruby.
Let
point
Ruby
is
finish
my
her
point
point,
is
Edward.
But slow down, Ruby, so we can understand you. Okay.
okay, well I
Thank
will
you.
try, but it is
Yeah, I know.
actually all one connected thing. And this is why I
Yeah,
said,
yeah, but thing is, you're going to have to separate it for us because
right,
it's
I
connected in your
understand, but
mind, but
I
not
can't do
ours.
that if you want,
Okay.
but I understand. But this is
Thank
what
you.
I'm trying to say to men, right? Is that women, right? A lot of what I'm saying with women, it's gonna
Slow
resonate
down,
because
Ruby.
it's a how do I slow down? I haven't even finished one sentence. Only has one point in it. So I haven't finished one sentence for me to have to slow down.
Yeah.
Now, what I was saying again is that what I'm saying will resonate with women, not men, because it's a women's experience and a women's issue. Now, as Edward said, yeah, you know what? We haven't been having these discussions. A lot of us have not even been aware that this discussion really needed to be had. In fact, they said that on the Red Table Talk when all of those women were there, is they didn't even realize how badly they needed this discussion to open that door in their lives and how much it would change for them to do so until after they watched the Goop, Sex, and Love and started having these discussions with each other, just from generation to generation. And so you're going to say, well, women are refusing to do it. Well, the thing is, a lot of women, even if they understand that they might need to do something, like as in they have a lot of doors closed, they don't actually even understand that this particular door is closed. They've been engaging in sex their whole lives, right? They don't know what they don't know. And actually you see it on the series that even the men, they don't know what they don't know. And then all of a sudden they have this experience. They never even knew sex was supposed to be like that. They never knew that it was supposed to get to that level, right? Women, though, women have been experiencing that their whole lives. They don't think sex is really actually for them. They talk a lot of stuff they don't actually mean because they're supposed to think that way. They're supposed to say these things. It's supposed to be like that. But when you get women into things like the women's retreats that I've worked at and whatever, what you realize is they're talking a big game that they're not really experiencing and they don't really understand. And that's why they expect men to read their minds because they don't know that, oh, well, if I just change his angle or if I just do this or that, or if I explore my own body first, I could actually tell him, oh, if you just go a little bit to the left, this is going to be great for me. Right. And so women don't actually know and understand that. So even just from that process, just from that alone, men know, oh, the tip feels good. It feels good when I do this. It feels good when I do that. Women don't know that they're supposed to have that same exploration. Right. So then now you have these women walking away from relationships that are actually really functional. Otherwise, oh, because the sex game is weak. But the sex game isn't weak because the dude is weak. The sex game is weak because she has no idea how the hell her body works. So she needs some
Okay.
guy to magically luck into it, right? This is a discussion that that Gwyneth Paltrow and Jada and them opened up for us to start having. And every time women open up discussions like this for us to start having these discussions amongst ourselves from generation to generation for us to start trying to heal this and change this, men take it as an attack against men when it's actually not about the man at all. It's actually about the woman.
So basically, it's black men's fault that women don't understand their own bodies.
Do you hear what I literally
In
just
other
said?
words,
I mean,
you just
I didn't
blame the
hear
men for
that.
shutting down the
I
conversation.
didn't
You
hear
just did.
anybody say
You
anything
just
was
did.
black men's
You
fault. I did
you
not hear
just
that.
okay,
Of course you didn't, because you're
what she
biased.
just what she well, okay what she just said was that
What did
when
you just
women's
hear her say?
what she just said, what I heard her say is when women finally open up and start having this discussion, okay, men come in and basically shut it down by thinking that they're blaming us. That's
What
what she
I
just said.
heard.
I
Hold on,
literally said, well,
Let me
no,
let me be let
I'm
me
going
let
to
me give
repeat
me
my
give me
sentence.
what I heard on
That's what she just said.
the whole thing is I'm see the problem is I'm actually listening. What I heard
You're really
was
not.
the
You're
Apparently.
entire
listening,
hold
Edward.
on. What I heard was in this whole story about how women don't understand themselves sexually, and how at the end, the basically what they call it, the punchline is every time they attempt to have these discussions any kind of way, here comes the social media folks trying to clout chase with views, talking about that's disrespectful of men. That's what you said. I mean, we can replay it. That is
Yeah,
what you said.
replay it. I would love to hear the place where I said social media people suck for
In other
views.
words,
No, I'm
men,
adding
Because that's
into it,
sexist.
but you just, man, Ruby,
men
come
should not
on,
even be in the
like,
discussion.
Wait,
yeah.
Yeah.
that's actually literally what I said. I
No,
said
no, you're
Oh,
not. You
when
get the
put
you
men
fuck.
in it.
Okay,
enter.
yeah,
You
yeah.
put
No,
men
that's
in it.
cool. I'm
Okay,
about to
listen,
leave this, and we're gonna
You just
replay
did.
it.
I let you both speak. I let you both speak. So now let me respond. Okay.
Okay, respond.
So what
Let
I
Ruby
said,
respond.
right? So what I literally just said, was that now women are finally starting to have these discussions to
Mm-hmm.
open up the discussion
Mm-hmm.
amongst women from generation to generation for women to
Mm-hmm.
solve the problem that women have created for women. And
Mm-hmm.
when men hear that discussion, they
Mm-hmm.
take it as an attack against men, even though it has nothing to do with men. It
So,
has to do with women for women.
so, so what?
So,
So women do the, if with men, we literally have this on YouTube. Men having discussions amongst men about what we go through and what we go through with women in our lives, and women take it as attack against women. So what? But that doesn't mean the discussion stops, does it? The other party will always take offense or take hurt because they're going to look at their part in it. So what?
right.
That's going
So
to
what
happen.
I'm
Why,
trying to say,
why
right,
don't each
and I
party
hear you. So
mind
what
your
I'm
own
trying to
business?
say though, well,
Because
no, that's not
we're
what I'm trying to
intertwined. It
say.
is our business, both our businesses. That's why.
But
But you
here's the
know what?
thing, right? Go ahead, Wanda.
No, I was just gonna say sometimes, women need their space and their talk, and sometimes men need their space and their talk, which has absolutely nothing to do with the women. The women don't need to be privy to that, and vice versa. So whatever's going on in that conversation with the men that you don't know anything about, it's none of
Hmm.
your business.
Well,
And what's
that's
going
true.
on with the women and what they're talking about, it's none of your business, because when you guys start to intertwine that, that's
Uh
when it
huh.
starts to become this whole big
Yes.
old
Yes.
globule.
Yes.
I don't
So
want to
what
know
you
what the men are talking about.
but you have to still do it anyway. Just like here on even on YouTube amongst the men, you still have to do it anyway.
Right. So
Because
my point though,
there's no spot where men will gather and talk amongst themselves that women won't try to get into.
And
right.
guess
So my
what? There's
point
no
though with that,
spot that men will talk that they won't let the women come on. If you want it to be male only, you can make it male only.
We
That
have,
well,
and
but
and
here's the
and,
thing. Can I, if I can interject my
and
point here
God
really
bless
quick?
you.
but that
That's good.
Because this is
That's
not my
good
point.
because you
but that's
guys
just
should
Hold on.
have
human.
that. You should have that.
I know, but people are human. It doesn't work that way,
Okay,
does
but
it?
here's what my point was, because none
Mm-hmm.
of this is my point. My point was this simply, right? When men
Mm-hmm.
are having discussions for men, about men, to heal men, for generational issues between men, right? Women are going
Mm-hmm.
to hear that. You're right. They're going to take that. They're going to do whatever
Mm-hmm.
they want with it. But
Mm-hmm.
the point is that the discussion itself is not even about women or about attacking women. Or if a man
Mm-hmm.
gets into that conversation who's married, it's not about him attacking his wife. It's actually about self discovery and self accountability and self growth. It's not actually about the women at all. That
Mm-hmm.
even if the women are going to listen to it, they're going to take it as an attack against them, and they're going to go and think that, oh, that's it. Men are
Mm-hmm.
saying this and that about their wives, and their wives
Mm-hmm.
being old and run down at the time, even
Mm-hmm.
though it has nothing to do with
Like
that,
I
right?
said,
And
and
so,
at the end of the day,
right,
so
so
what?
right, so my point is again, right, is, and this is what I said to begin with, because this is, I'm just highlighting the point I originally made,
Let's slow down
which
a
is
little
that
bit.
how do I slow down when I haven't said anything?
Yeah, what I'm
Like,
saying
you
is,
want me to slow down?
yeah, slow down because what I'm saying, this is afterwards. After I let you go on a little bit, and when you start to speed up, I say slow down a little bit, Ruby. Is that okay? So I can
How do I
understand you
speed
better.
up? So you want me to slow down an idea I haven't said?
No, in
Okay,
other
fine.
words,
I'll do that.
I'm not talking about the idea. I'm talking about your pattern of speech. I say slow down. Okay, it has nothing to do with the idea.
Okay, so fine then. So therefore, and this is what I said at the very beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that no, women are actually starting to open up and have these discussions. And
Mm-hmm.
when Jada is having these discussions, men are hearing the discussion and taking it that Jada is attacking Will's D game, expressing all of this stuff because she's so miserable in her marriage. And what I am saying, and what my point is that no, she's having these discussions because it's about women. It's generational stuff that's being passed down for women. It's about self growth and self accountability. And it has nothing to do with Will or putting down Will. It's actually with her talking about herself and her own damage and her own need to build and to grow and her own things that have been passed down from generation to generation that she would even pass down to her own daughter and had to try to
Okay.
resolve.
Now can I interject?
Go ahead.
Okay, it's one thing if it's you. It's one thing if you're just a B-list star and you're married to somebody that nobody even knows, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you don't have a this mega brand that's worth, $500 million. Okay? There are two different things. Everything that comes out of your mouth affects the brand, okay? Everything, especially if you're on social media. Okay, if you say it to a friend, or you in a retreat and you say it to people that's off camera, okay, or off mic, that's one thing. When you say it on social media, in front of the world, especially when you represent a $500 million brand, everything matters.
Okay, I understand that. However, and here's the problem, right? Then we're just going to
That's
circle
the
back
problem.
to what you said, right? You
Hmm.
said, so what? You're going to
Okay.
need to have these conversations, right? You need to open up these lines of communication
Okay.
amongst women. And you know what? Men are going to take it wrong. They're not going to
Mm.
understand because they can't relate. The message isn't really for them, right? So what? That's what you said, right?
Is it just men that are taking it that way?
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. For the most part, as far as what I have seen, for the most part, the majority of the people who are taking it the wrong way are men, which makes sense though, because it's not the message in and of itself is not something that resonates or that they can relate with. And see, the thing is, it makes sense. And I get it. I understand after decades of men hearing, backhanded things against them and little
Hmm.
slights against them to constantly eat away at the black male image or at the black male as a father or husband or whatever. I
Hmm.
understand that everything is going to be put under a microscope. You're going to find a way that this
Yeah.
must be a backhand
It's,
against black men. I
it's,
understand that,
it's,
but that not everything is.
especially when you add it to her track record. The thing is, from what I've seen, it's 50-50. It's not just men that are talking about it.
But you know
It's not.
what?
Go ahead.
To be honest, I just think that, the men are, talking about it and a little bit more invested in it than Will is. Well, you guys have to understand, this is a celebrity couple. There's not
Hmm.
anything, that's been done that hasn't already been done. You cannot tell me that, their brand is not so well, guarded that they didn't discuss this before this came out. Or if it was an oversight, and let's say the conversation came out, they're discussing it. So it's going to work out. People are going to have their opinions and their views of Will, and to be honest, this is, publicity, and bad publicity is good publicity because it's free. you know
Well,
um and people are going to be discussing their relationship, and as what we are, and it does make sense because this is real, something that you can discuss, but you got to realize this is a celebrity couple. Both of
Hmm.
them are, born and bred in this business. They've been in it since, early teens, so they understand how it works, and when something is printed, what it's going to look like, what the repercussions are going to be. They have public relations,
but
so
it's
I
not
mean,
just
it's
that
gonna,
though, Vonda, because like, okay, so with me and my husband, right? And I've had a lot over the years, right, over the last 4 or 5 years, and a lot of people at some point or another turn around and say, see, she's being disrespectful to her husband. See, Ruby, blah, 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 blah. Oh, she's a waste of pants in her relationship. But what people don't understand, right, is that within my relationship, I have these discussions ahead of time. I know exactly what I can and can't speak about, where the line is for him. as far as what
Mhm.
he's comfortable with me being open and honest about, to further discussion, to further understanding, to further growth and development. Because you know what? Sometimes people need to know they're not alone. So I have these discussions. So, people out there going, oh, see, she's disrespecting her husband, blah, 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 blah. But they don't understand that I already had this conversation with my husband. He's okay with me putting this out there because this is a situation or a struggle we went through that he
Mhm.
had to fight through and grow and develop through for us to get to the other side. He's already gotten through it now. So now I'm going to talk about my experiences being, the wife in that situation with that man, and what we went through. And he's okay with me divulging that information. If he wasn't, I wouldn't have divulged it. There's lots of stuff I don't talk about because that's a line. There's a line there. We already know what's okay and what's not. And so when I say, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, on that. When I say, well, yeah, Jada is having these conversations and men are seeing it in this one way, but I truly believe, like Vonna said, they had this discussion in advance. They already went through this. This is not like, she's not talking about something she's going through right now. She's talking about something
Right.
she went through sometimes 5, 10 years ago, and she's sharing it with other people because she's gone through this scenario or this situation already, and it's opening up dialogues and discussion for Black women, for them to find a place to start the introspection and start the self accountability, just even for their own pleasure. It's something that's so basic and human, we think is so automatic, and is not. Start that accountability. Stop putting it on the man or on something else, because it's actually on you. So if you don't know what brings you pleasure, if you don't know where your limits are, where your excitement is, or whatever, if you don't know and you don't communicate with him, right? If you're not on that bond level, you just expect him to read your mind and what kind of mood you're in today. And if he doesn't, then you're disappointed. No, that's on you. That's your failure. That's not his failure, right? You need to know you. And so starting that discussion, she's saying she went through that. Right? She's saying she went through that process of development. There's a lot of women who need to understand that, no, this kind of weird haze place that they're in right now, no, this is a natural thing. And it's because no one told you about your damn body. No one told you about your sexuality and your sexual peak being at 35 and what the hell that even means. No one told you any of this, right? They told you, you got to get him off. You got to be sexy for him. You got to this for him and that for him. It's all about him, right? And, maybe you can
Okay.
get no, and that's it.
Okay,
Don't come
Ruby.
home pregnant.
So we have Shannon Rawls that says, no way. No way was this discussed prior to the Red Table Talk. Are you
Oh, of
kidding
course
me?
not.
You
Right.
don't
Of
see
course
the
not.
power, selfish moves from Jada. Okay, so if this statement is completely true, that is to say that Will is like the weakest, unmanliest. Let's just stop it. Come on, this man is not. He
It,
knows
hap-
exactly
it
what's
happens all. It
being
happens
done.
all the
He
time.
but but you know what? This man knows what he's doing. He's got just as much skin in this game as Jada.
Okay. The thing is that the reason that Shannon can speak upon it, because where does Shannon work? Shannon works in Hollywood. Okay. Shannon is in the inner circle. There's a lot of stuff that Shannon is not telling. Okay. Because I'm in L.A. Okay. We've been hearing about this couple for the last 30 years. It's not new to us. So they do
Mhm.
a lot of stuff. They're a lot more
That's
alike
true.
than they
I've
are.
heard about that BGS. Yeah.
Yeah, they. What I'm saying is they're a lot more alike than they are different. Okay,
Hmm.
and the thing is that at some point, just like anybody else, just like any couple, sometimes they get tired of each other, and just like
Mhm.
men can go off on a loose cannon and do something that's way out of line, and you know, because they're human beings, they're not robots. Everything is not scripted. Okay,
Right. But
and,
at
and,
the
and
same time, after August came out, see, even if you wanted to say that, after August came out with his story,
mm-hmm.
of course they had to come up with the game plan. Well, you think that August came out with his story, and it's like, okay, well, we won't talk about it all amongst ourselves. We won't talk to any of our PR people. We'll just do it on the fly. Of course they had to strategize.
there's
Well,
if you go back and look at the pictures, that she was doing a lot of unsanctioned things even before he actually came out and said something. So people think that this, because of the money, because of this, that people are robots, and they're not. And there's moves, there's moves that people make and that Jada's making, and everybody's nodding and says, okay, you know what, y'all, the
so
game's up. You would need to
so
go
does
ahead and
she
end this.
so does she have more rank than him? I mean, what?
She
How is
she
she
does
calling all the shots? How is she
she
making all these
she
power plays?
It's not a thing is that it's just like it's just like anything else. You could be a CEO, right?
Hmm.
And a lowest janitor um, that's supposed to click a switch that keeps the building from burning down. Okay, doesn't do his job or decides he's gonna sabotage the whole building, burn the whole freaking building down. Okay, just because you're CEO, you don't have control of that dude. That dude is a human being. If he wants to go off the rails, he can go off the rails. Or say like a disgruntled employee, okay, comes in one day with a Uzi and kills 30 employees. Okay, it does just because just because he doesn't have power in that organization doesn't mean that he can't go off the rails. Okay, she's a number two. Okay, she has to play her role. What happens one day when she don't want to play her role no more? What do you do about that?
Yeah, then she screws up, and then hey, you got your crisis team, you've
She
got
does,
your marketing
and
team, you've got your
sometimes
everything team
you
to
have a
help you fix
crisis,
your
and the
crises.
whole thing comes apart, and because she's no longer invested in the thing that she's been doing for the last 30 years. And I've counseled God the same way. At some point, you know what? I'm tired of holding this up. Guess what I'm gonna do? I'm not gonna play my part anymore. I'm gonna go left.
Yeah, and here's the thing, right? Because I hear that, right? But
Hmm.
me listening to the whole thing in context, was there was the August Alsina thing, okay? And
Hmm.
just it's a present thing. And
Hmm.
I hear the way that y'all hear it. She's done with the marriage, whatever. The way I hear it is this: they were done, right? They took their little break, whatever. He probably did absolutely nothing with that except self-reflection. Meanwhile,
Who?
she went,
Will?
Will.
Whatever,
Oh, you
Ruby.
please,
If you don't
please,
go sit down, sister,
please,
Listen, I'm
please,
giving him the best case scenario. My point
he
is
please.
is
this.
not
My
getting no best case and no scenario here.
Oh,
Girl, get
listen,
on,
my
please.
go
point is
take a
Well,
nap.
you didn't hear the rumor about his
yes. Yes, I
co-star
did.
in what was that movie that was
Yeah,
that
no, I heard
Marvel
about
the
that, but
movie?
my
Yeah,
point is
yeah,
this. My
amongst
point is
others.
this.
Okay.
My point is this. It doesn't matter what Will did, right? Because that's what we're talking about. So I'm like, okay, he was
Ruby,
perfect, okay? No, hold on, hold
oh
on.
my goodness,
He was
girl.
pretty perfect. I don't know, right? He just self-reflected.
He's like, well, never mind whatever Will did.
He was in a Hollywood monastery praying while Jada was out there with this dude. Okay, all right.
So yeah, exactly. So my point is
That's
this. My
a
point is
hell
this. Okay,
no. I
the way
know
I see
that.
it is this, right? And this has to do with me and my
I love
work.
you, Ruby.
Thank you. I love you too. So now this has to do with me and my work with women in the women's retreats, okay? And
Okay.
so yes, you do see this a lot at certain periods of marriage. So 17 years, around 15 years, around 25 years, right? You see
Mm-hmm.
these issues come up, right? People are used
Mm-hmm.
to going up and down in the roller coaster, and then they hit these dead spots, right? Like I don't
Mm-hmm.
like your face. I can't stand the way you smell. You don't do it for me. I'm over this. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and this is normally a period of time where, like, working with the women, right, you find that they've disconnected as humans. Like they're so invested in everything else that they're doing. They're not invested in each other. And they've taken everything for granted because when they were communicating, when they were invested and bonded and vibing together, right, they could take it for granted. They just understood each other's moods and movements and bodies and whatever. So it was just working automatically. Now they're at this place where you actually have to put in the effort, and they forgot that they have to. And so they think, well, no, it's just not automatically happening. They haven't been invested in their spouse for a while. And now some random, made them feel hot and bothered, accidentally, the new excitement. They go, oh, well, maybe my marriage is over. Right. And so I think this is me.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Listening to the whole scenario,
Mm-hmm.
that's basically where Jada and Will, they about done with each other, right? And then she got this automatic excitement, right? From the newness. So it's so easy, just everything comes easy.
Mm-hmm.
And she started saying, okay, well, I guess that's what it is. We're done. And then she realized, right, through not just realization, she had to do a lot of work and a lot of other stuff had to happen to her to come to realization. Point is, she realized that no, the problem was within. The problem is her. The problem was her lack of being in touch with herself. The problem was her lack of having resolved her own issues and her own traumas. The lack was she wasn't communicating her needs and her wants. She wasn't even in touch with her needs and her wants. And she was being selfish and blameless and saying, well, it's all on you. You have to make me feel good. You have to make me feel happy. You have to make me feel fulfilled. Figure it out. Like she was like this infantilized child. And then she's come to the realization, listening to all these conversations, we're like, no, As a woman, you have the accountability. You aren't communicating your needs.